So there's that. Sorry, we're a little bit late. Alex had to work, man. So, we're fashionably late. Thanks a lot, Martin's Life in a Hanger. Appreciate that, dude. Yeah, Alex White, man. I've got massive history with this guy. I met Alex because he left a business card for his shop where I was parking my motorcycle in LA at the office, the old E Entertainment building, right?
Yeah, that's the one, right? Wilshire and Hauser.
Yeah, Wilshire and Hauser. Yeah,
Miracle
dude.
Mile,
And like,
California.
yeah, you left your little Spider-Man looking logo business card, and I ended up going to your shop, and you guys did some like work on my Honda 600 a million years ago, right?
Yeah.
And shit, like you and I became friends. I used to go over to the shop and just hang out during my lunch break, right?
Yeah,
get in your
right,
face,
right
get in
down
your
the
way.
street playing hooky.
Yeah, playing hooky from the publicity firm, right?
Yeah.
So the reason why this whole podcast came to be is because this past weekend we had that TrackDaz event on the new circuit at Buttonwillow Raceway, and you and I were talking, and I captured you on video getting your reaction, and my wife and I watched it like 3 or 4 times, and she's laughing, I'm laughing, and she's like, "You got to get Alex on the phone and get him to do a podcast with you."
Yeah, it's funny. A lot of people say, the comedian JB Smooth. They go, "You're JB Smooth's brother from another mother." Okay.
Oh shit!
I think I just look better than him. Okay.
If you say so.
Yeah, but hey, I had a great time at the track. I haven't been out in a while riding.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. And I drug the old R1 out, what they had in the market. And hey, I had a great time. Track is phenomenally smooth. Grip was good. And the weather gods, they blessed us. It was amazing.
Dude, we totally dodged a fucking bullet on that one, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, it was pouring rain all the way until, like the day before.
And snow in the grapevine.
Oh, yeah. There was snow on the grapevine too?
When the car guys came out a couple of weeks ago, it snowed on the grapevine.
Wow.
Yeah. So, the weather gods blessed us with weather, great. And, I mean, you mentioned moisture coming up in the track. Wasn't even an issue, really.
Yeah.
Knocking down a couple of cones with our knees. No biggie.
Dude, did you hit one with your knee?
Close. Maybe.
I hit one. I was like, oh. So, whatever.
Yeah. Like, but the track, I'm telling everybody, if you can get to experience it, I mean, it's really great. Good braking. The grip was great. And having a smooth racetrack is a blessing. I think realistically, other than the compression on the forks, you don't really have to turn the knob. It's one of those tracks you can ride and you could ride.
Right. And it had massive grip, right? Like it had way more, like every time I've been to a new track, it's kind of like, but this track, like we kind of felt it out. And I was like,
I was expecting with the rain to have a green racetrack, which if everybody knows, the green racetrack means there's no rubber laid down. Right. I mean, right from the get-go, you're going a little faster. Yeah. Hey, and I was riding on a year-old tire that probably had 20 laps on it. I rode it all day long.
You were like fully breaking all the advice that we give people.
Yeah,
right?
The experience level. But it was phenomenal. I mean, like I said, the grip, the tire wear compared to some of the racetracks we go to is going to be great. I think a lot of guys, even on big bikes, can get maybe 3 races out of a rear, which is is great.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I mean, we were running we run like the SC3 hard tires on our school bikes, just because they last longer. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense to, put a 0 on a school bike, right?
No. I mean, I was running a 1.5-year-old one, which is probably a 1.1, by now, and it was great, So I mean, I can imagine running a 0. I'm really impressed to see what the times is going to be at the track, and it was a phenomenal time.
I mean, Kettleson was in the 40s, in the high 40s on a stock Cowie 600. So, and Uribe was kind of messing around on some Twins Cup thing. So I don't really know what his times would be, but they're fast. I mean, I saw the open wheel guys in that car race a couple weeks before. They were doing like 36s. So for perspective, but dude, in the comments, it's really funny. Right before we got to the live, I mentioned this. And already, Irate Barry out of Utah, he spotted your WD-40.
Yeah,
like, of course, the mechanic has WD-40 on his shelf.
Back I mean, yeah, probably 30 plus years. I mean, I knew his son when he was, in his mama's belly. So we go way back.
Tom Aquino.
Yeah, Tom Aquino.
Yeah.
And his dad me talk all the time. And he said, hey, you got to have, one of the memorial cans to memorialize the late
and
so that's one of his
epic,
cans when he was sponsored by WD-40 over in Europe. I got
BSB, right?
My Rossi book back there and my other Rossi memorabilia. So
right on.
Yeah.
So absolutely. Alex, you know what? You have such, like, I don't even know where to begin with you, man. Like, how did you get into this? Like, how did you become this like motorbike racer guy? Because I saw that picture you sent me the other day with the afro and shit, and I was like, whoa, dude.
Yeah. I grew up in LA. We always had a pretty good bike scene, but back in the day, there was the drag race guys in the city. And all the other guys were up on Mulholland. I mean, old Mulholland, which back, I started in the 70s, which is Dead Man's Curve. And so I was doing that kind of stuff. And I met a couple of guys, probably 1981. And they go, man, you're pretty fast, but you're halfway out of control. And it took me out to Willow Springs. And I was like, man, I'm going to blow these guys away. This is going to be a piece of cake. Because I was at Fairfax High School, the guy doing wheelies, blow everybody away, run from a couple of police.
No, not me.
Yeah, it's a vicious rumor says. Okay,
allegedly.
So I went out to the track and I took my little GPZ 550 out there and got smoked. Reality check,
dude.
And after that, I was hooked. And we used to race 12 months out of the year in ARRA and AFM, and man, I raced 10 years straight. After that, little AMA stuff, not really any full seasons. Willow Springs regular, and I probably went 12 years straight with hardly ever missing a race.
No shit.
Yeah. And from 80s, 3 or 4 championships, 600, a lot of 600 stuff. We used to have box stock, 400, 600.
Yeah, box stock. Tell us about box stock.
Oh my God.
Everybody's like, you go to the races now, everybody's like, oh yeah, my bike's box stock, except for
no. Our box stock was so strict. Stock exhaust, stock foot pegs. Almost nobody hardly had a shock on their bike. If you had springs, you were lucky. And DOT tires that on some of those bikes, I know guys would go 6 months on a pair of tires.
What?
6 months. I know a guy, Ricochet, on his RD350. He did 9 rounds on the rear and ran the stock front all year long, doing 143s and won a championship in like 1983.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a tire guy conspiracy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I was always picky on tires about my machinery, but I think I'd get 3 weekends out of a set of tires.
Really?
Back in the day. But yeah, the bike was stock. I mean, like really, everybody cheated. As they say, if you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough. But interpretation of the rules.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it was great racing and they paid good money with, literally stock machines with a jet kit. We even had to have the turn signal switch on. No race body work, little plastic number plate on the front. And
that was before belly pans hit the scene, right?
What's that now?
That was before belly pans hit the scene.
Oh no! We didn't see body work until probably the late 80s.
No shit.
And then from there, I worked at Vance and Hines Performance Shop in Torrance. They won the 24-hour race, and it was one of the #1 performance shops in Southern California. Dennis Smith, who used to do the Donald Tires, ran it. Terry Newby.
Yeah.
I got Bill Foster, who was a great mechanic, worked for Vance Hines on their super bikes. I worked on Sadowski's bike, remember Sadowski. And I learned a lot from them. And, after that, about 1990, I said, hey, I think I can do this thing on my own. So 35 years coming this year being self-employed.
Dude, is there still a Vance and Hines shop anywhere? Last one I saw was in Whittier, but that's been years ago.
Yeah, no, they pretty much, they one by one, they kind of dropped. And then Vance and Hines kind of got out of the roadways business and focused more on the big cruiser thing now, as you well know.
How funny is it that they've kind of come back though, right? Like,
yeah. Everything's
going Lander is going to race stock 1,000 for Vance and Hines, right?
Yeah,
that's different.
Absolutely.
Like it's crazy how the sport's kind of gone in cycles, like you've experienced it for longer than 35 years. Do you see that as well?
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, like I said, we were really having a crisis in the sport bike, market. Adventure bikes have become kind of king, and now the sport bikes are starting to make a comeback. I mean, my biggest concern in the industry that I've tried to address is, getting the youth back more involved.
Right.
Because when I was in my 20s, we go out to the Rock Store in Newcomb's Ranch, and 50% of the demographic were under 30.
Right.
And if you've been to any bike spots or even the shows,
now they're over 50.
Yeah. Yeah. But even when I was racing in the 80s and early 90s, you'd see 4, 5, 6 guys, come on their sport bikes. They're all under 30, come and watch the races.
Yeah.
And we just don't see that as much.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember when in the late 90s, my dad worked at Aerojet, which is now Northrop Grumman, right? And he had this coworker guy that he was the other black dude at Willow, right? Kevin President.
Yeah,
right.
I go to AMA, and it was there was a guy from Northern California. It was me and him, and they always confused us all the time.
I always wanted to go, and I wanted to go racing. I had no idea, and my dad was like, "Oh yeah, this buddy of mine at work, go." He says it's cool, so go find him. So I had to go to Willow. I came out with some buddies. We all rode out there, and then I'm like asking around, like, "Hey, where does Kevin President pit? I don't even know what that means." Like, and they're like, "Oh yeah, he's down at turn 1." So I had to ride around, and before I found the number 37 R1, which is why I rock that number today still, right? But even back then, it was people would ride to the track, and even further, Jeremy had that shop at San Diego, and there'd be like 20 dudes roll into Willow from San Diego to watch the club races.
Yeah.
And it's you don't really see that as much anymore.
Yeah, no, you don't. Yeah, like I said, the guys would go down, guys would go the back way around Lake Hughes and stuff, go to the racetrack and ride and stuff and show up. And some guys would go out to a track. It was how easy, and would prep a bike and go, "I'm going to race it." Imagine that today. I'm going to ride out there and I'm going to race it. I remember we had I worked at Hollywood Motorcycles. We did Yamaha Kawasaki. And we had this crazy salesman brought out an FZR 400, and we're racing it. And I had an RZ 350, and it broke. He goes, "Let's race this." We prepped the bike and raced it, and I went 2 seconds faster than I ever went, and I bought the bike. And I raced it for like 3 seasons.
You raced like literally a stock bike off the showroom, change the tires and roll.
Yep. And I went 3 seconds faster than my race RZ 350.
That's crazy.
But I think Jeff Tigert took a CBR 1000, I'm going to say maybe 10 years ago at Buttonwillow, and was doing lap times of the top freaking 3.
Dude, that's like longer than 10 years ago.
Was it longer than 10 years ago? Yeah, but
I think it was like 08. I think that was like 08.
Yeah, I'm getting that.
Yeah, and I remember he had like it's like he got a lot of parts from the race department at Home Depot, right?
Yeah.
He made the little straps to hold the stock foot pegs in the down position, that kind of stuff. But yeah, like I remember that too. Like he was working at Honda, and he would Honda was buying bikes back then too, like of other manufacturers. So sometimes it was pretty common to see Tigert back then roll up to a track day on like a Suzuki 1000, for instance, and go out just with some tires and go out and just ruin, just murder.
Yeah,
right?
I was just shocked that he goes that fast on a basically almost stock motorcycle, with stock tires. Yeah, but the bikes now, like I said, bikes now, the stuff that you roll out at your school, I mean, are literally stock motorcycles, and you can do very little to them. And it reminds me of box stock, where we would have a stock shock, maybe some springs, and some number plates and stuff, and go out there. I mean, gearing.
The zip ties and a square big ass number plate on.
Square big ass number. I probably got a picture back here or something with a square number plate on it.
Yeah, you probably do, dude.
Yeah, and in fact, I thought I was cool when I took a heat gun and bent my number plate back a little aerodynamic,
Oh, dude, I think you did that on the tail section, right?
To
kind of keep the shape.
Yeah. Where do you think Ducati got the idea of the rhino things in the back?
Oh yeah. You know what? I mean, they were looking at Alex White's old photos. That's
absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. But that was some great times. They had a lot of they had the RZ Cup. Once again, very limited modifications and paid good money. Ninja 250s paid good money.
Right.
And there were some great times with some very limited modifications. And it just made, I mean, we had, 36, 40 bikes on the grid. It was amazing.
Yeah. You know, one of the questions I'm getting in the comments, this is from R6 Chrissy, but she was like, how did you guys finance the hobby back then? Like,
working late. I was lucky. I worked for dealerships and I used to get my parts for cost. And, I didn't have to pay the bill to the month, so,
right.
And basically I would just work late. I mean, I worked in the garage. I had a workshop. I'm lucky to grow up in a neighborhood where everybody had homes.
Yeah.
And the difference now between now and the generation, that we have currently in the past is that most of us middle class had homes, which means we had garages that we started with our bicycles and our mopeds and our mini bikes. So by the time we were 16, 17, we were taking apart motors. So you could sit there and fiddle with your bike or have a little side hustle, make a few little bucks on there. And that's kind of how we did with the help of local shops, which there were dozens of them back then.
Right.
So one guy helped you out some tires, one guy gave you parts. And I tell us a funny story. When I stopped racing in 1991, and I'd been racing all the way from 81. And the first year I stopped racing, I go, man, I got money. Because I was always paying off the tire bill or the bike shop bill. Okay. And I realized,
how much was a set of tires in 1990?
Oh my God. I think under $200.
Really?
Under $200. Yeah.
I mean, Gil, Jimmy and I, we kind of reminisce about when we kind of started racing, and we weren't buying race tires from the track vendor. Oh no. We were buying that $139 a set deal from Chaparral.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But back then, dude, a set of tires, Dennis had them, and who was the Michelin guy back then? Chuck Graves was the Michelin guy.
Well, yeah. Because before there was a guy called Metzler. He was before that. He used to have a school bus. Yeah. That was his tire. That was his tire shop with a modified school bus.
Right. Yeah. So like we would get tires from Dennis or tires from Chuck, and they were like, I think even back in the late 90s, they were like $350 a set, right?
They were $350. And I remember, I'm going to say probably about the early 2000s, there was the big Dunlop UK tires coming in. And I remember back then, they were like $500.
Yeah.
They were a second and a half quicker. And if you had the money, you had the UK tires.
They were with 364s, right?
Yeah. But they were the UK tires.
Yeah.
Big difference.
Dude, those 364s worked pretty good the wet too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. I remember when I first started racing, there was a tire called a K81. If you saw the tire now, it looks like a dirt track tire. And they made a K81R, which everybody's all excited about because it was softer. But guys, we were doing 144s and little RD350s.
No shit. And that was before Willow went through that pavement change where they widened it and made it faster.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot faster. But I remember those tires. But I remember it wasn't that long ago where to get your license, you had to break 2 minutes.
Yeah. Right.
If you had to do 2 minutes. I mean, think how slow 2 minutes is. You have to do 2 minutes to get your license.
Dude, I had to break 2 minutes to pass and get my license, right?
Yeah.
Like that was like a million years ago.
I know, but you think about it now.
Like half my life ago.
Yeah, 2 minutes. But we were doing 140. We were doing 143, 144s on bikes that made 40 horsepower. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, slower than a Ninja 250.
Slower than a Ninja 250, still rolling.
Yeah.
I don't know if I remember any Ninja 250s in the 40s like that.
No, I saw guys when they were paying Kawasaki, they were cheating, but I saw guys that were doing like 138, 139s when they were paying money, but they were all cheating. Yeah, I mean, I knew some of the guys, some of the tricks they were doing. These guys were fast. Yeah.
Dude, I got in the comments, Joel. He was like, one of the shops that was responsible for a lot of these things was Crago Racing.
Yeah, Jeff Crago, rest in peace. Yeah.
Wow, dude.
Yeah, Jeff Crago. Yeah.
Dude, I can remember Crago Racing. They'd roll in their little trailer. Mm-hmm. Dude, I even loaned one of the Crago dudes my 750 one year.
Yeah.
Reno.
Yeah. Jeff, he was a really good motor guy. Yeah. Jeff Crago over in the valley. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and he transitioned into cars and doing motorcycle racing, FJ engines and Hayabusa engines in the cars. He's making big
Oh
money from
shit.
that. Yeah.
Dude, you know what's so weird is that, like we were talking about earlier, like the cyclical nature of our sport.
Hmm.
And you know what, man? Bryce Prince is doing some of that now.
Yeah.
Like that dude, I'm so proud of that kid. I watched him grow up. Like we sponsored him when he was the little guy. I think
Hmm.
we cut him loose when he was about, I think when we shipped him off the rookies, we cut him loose, right? We're
Hmm.
like, all right, bro, you've gone as far as we could take you, man. We don't have any more money, right?
Hmm.
But Bryce, he's got like damn near an engine factory over there,
Yeah, the
right?
shop's pretty impressive. They have a big engine room, a clean room for building engines. They got a good dyno
Yeah,
set up. I mean, they have a lot of square footage. The place is really
yeah,
impressive. If you ever get out to Kern County
yeah.
Motorsports,
Bakersfield,
yeah, Bakersfield, California.
yeah,
Yeah, he's got a good crew over there. He's got some really good, talented guys. Um, Engine room, dyno room.
right.
But yeah, pretty impressive
I mean,
place.
I keep seeing the R1s and whatever popping up everywhere. And I was just talking to a buddy this morning. He's on the East Coast, like north, like Pennsylvania kind of area.
Mhm.
And that dude says that all of a sudden there's like a million Bryce Prince R7s in his neck of the woods. And I'm like,
Yeah,
are you kidding me, dude? He's like,
yeah.
oh yeah, dude. Bryce he must just be minting money out of that place, bro. Like he must be
Well, I mean,
just
yeah,
like,
I'm sure the overhead is high, but they're doing quite well, and he's getting to the
yeah,
point where he's having motors basically set up with exchanges,
yeah.
pretty impressive.
But
Buying a
he's
lot of,
kind of like the Crago guy now, right?
yeah, oh yes, definitely like a Crago, but on another level, on the
Oh, 100%.
2025 version of Jeff Crago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
The
yeah,
trailer's nicer, right?
yeah, yeah. Really nice. And they're working on the R9s. I'm really curious to see how the R9s are going to go.
Yeah, I saw one at the shop at Attack today.
Mhm,
I was trying to convince Richard to let me take it so I could put it where my Trek Madone is behind me.
mhm.
But he wasn't super keen on that yet. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
um
believe Grantham have Josh Hayes riding their R9 this year.
yeah, yeah. I mean I know Attack's built the engines for Strack,
Mm-hmm.
and I've been seeing them at Podium Club and they are fast, dude. Like
Yeah, I'm
they're
very. Yeah,
way
I've seen
faster
some of
than
the numbers and some of the torque numbers. It should
yeah,
be pretty
yeah,
impressive.
yeah,
I want to look at the World Super Sport numbers and that'll give you a real idea of how potent those bikes are going to be. But the
yeah.
fact that everybody who's on the Yamaha competitors on the R9, not the R6, is already telling you.
Well, I mean, the R9 is the new thing, right?
Yeah.
The new, and you know, what's the torque number on the R6 versus the torque number
Oh,
on the
it's yeah,
R9?
yeah. It's
That jump off the corner, right?
oh yeah, the torque is going to be phenomenal. I mean, the chassis looks freaking great, and also
Yeah.
Yamaha's making that the flagship bike. So what's next when they come out with the R model? That's going to be their flagship bike, replacing the R1. It already is in Europe,
Well, it's sort of like the replacement for the R6, really. I think
but in
there might.
Europe, no
I
R1.
don't. I don't think they're gonna lose the superbike thing. I think that I'm hoping that they have something else in the works for that. But you know
Well,
how tight-lipped Yamaha's product planning guys are.
yeah.
They don't fall for the boozer trick, right?
Well, we'll see. The word I hear out of Europe is that with the Europe being so restrictive, making
Yeah,
top
maybe
formula
this
goods.
version of the R1 is, the production of it in Europe obviously is gonna end, but maybe there'll be a new R1 type of thing or R10 or whatever they're doing now with the naming scheme, right?
Yeah, we'll hope. We'll hope.
Yeah, we hope so.
Yeah.
They seem to be stoked on superbikes still, so people are still buying those things. So hopefully we'll figure out something.
Yeah, I mean, like the sales are there. I mean, I hope it doesn't go away, and I hope they come out with a. I've always said they need a watered down version of an R6 to get the price more reasonable.
Oh, like the R6S back in the day.
Yeah, yeah, but I think it gets something under 10 grand. 115 horsepower is
Dude.
fine, but something that it's not going to cost you almost as much as an R1.
You know what the crazy thing is? Like we were talking about this with club racers all the time, right? And when I started racing, like a 600 was like $5,800,
Mm. Yeah,
and then they got all the way up to like almost 15 grand
yeah,
at
yeah,
the end, right? So the mythological $10,000 race bike days are long behind us, unfortunately, and that
yeah,
sucks.
yeah.
But even then, the cost of a bike isn't really the factor, right? It's like, these things just eat tires like it's their job.
It's the maintenance and stuff also. I mean, the complexity of working on them is no longer that a lot of guys can do it in their backyard. You have to have an engine builder. We've come to the electronic phase now, as you well know. You know, you see the laptops and you do wrenches. And the cost of tires.
Right.
You know? I would love to see box stock come back. I mean, really box stock. Just roll off the showroom floor, put tires.
Nobody wants to run sewing machine bikes, dude. They want pipes and all this stuff, right?
If the racing's good, if I can see 30 guys on the grid.
Yeah, that's, AFM used to have the Prodi class. When I started racing at Avon, there was dudes in that class and they were like stock pipes. And I was like, what the fuck is stock pipe for, dude? Like,
Well, I raced one year. I raced mod prod and box stock. And the only thing I would do is it was an RZ 350. I would change the pipe and change the jet. It took me maybe 45 minutes. And I raced both classes, and I'm sure nowadays something that you could probably do stock and throw a pipe on there and then do a flash in 2 classes.
Yeah, I remember Willow had like a super sport class, a mod prod class, and then a super bike class.
Yeah, so we had box stock.
A lot of guys would run all 3 of them, and the only difference with the bike that they were riding was you had to run DOTs in the super sport class. So you would have your DOTs for that, and then you would run slicks in mod prod and super bike, and your tire bill was just retarded, right?
Well, look, the tires would last. I mean, I had a GSXR that I raced. I raced against Chuck Gray and Scott Cavness. I mean, I can tell you a good Chuck story. And
tell the Chuck story, bro.
So I had my stock GSXR. I came from 600s. And I raced at Laguna Seca in the superbike class. Stock motor, I just had carbs on it that I got from Kerry Andrews and a pipe and slicks. And you talk about a wet noodle. So I raced Laguna, do pretty good. About mid-pack, I was pretty impressed. I go to Willow the next weekend, and I'm all chest all puffed out. And I had motor on Chuck. So I remember I'm going down the straightaway, and I passed Chuck Graves and Scott Cabs going into 1. Unfortunately, I couldn't make the corner, and the back wheel comes off the ground. It goes sideways. I go, I'm going to make this corner. And I high side and destroy this GSXR. 3 weekends in. And Chuck comes over, he goes, Alex, there was no way you were going to make that turn. I don't know what you were thinking about. And just smug walks away. I go, you little short little. But me and Chuck, I love each other. We go way back.
Oh, dude, Chuck's hilarious, man.
Oh, yeah. But he walks away and he says, there's no way you were going to make that corner. I don't know what you were thinking, So,
dude, like the history that Willow Springs, even today, dude, like WSMC was such a powerhouse in the sport. And, even though it's long gone, right, 15 years gone now, the effects of WSMC are still playing out today,
Oh, absolutely. I mean, like I said, the club
was
around,
right? Like my whole fucking program basically came out of WSMC, right?
Yeah. So absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you go down, Southern California, I don't think there's anybody involved in racing that doesn't have a history. It's been around over a decade with WSMC. Yeah. I mean, if you look at a lot of the threads, a lot of the, a lot of the guys that go way, way back, we all got our base at Willow Springs. You could race every month consistently.
Dude, racing 12 months out of the year was so tough.
Yeah, brutal. Yeah.
Right.
Because like I said, at the end of the year, if you're going to build a new bike, you basically have to have 2 bikes.
Yeah.
Try to pawn off your other one if you were going for points.
You pawn off the other one. That was the toughest part, right?
Yeah.
They come out with a new bike and all of a sudden you're like 3 months into the season and you're still on the old one and it's like
3 months. No, you would literally have 2 weeks from the end of the season get your other bike together. Because once again, they were simpler to build back then.
Right.
But if you were on a tight budget, you'd try to get your bike lined up and hope you didn't crash it on the last weekend not to get your money. Okay.
Right.
And scrambling 30 days to get your bike back together for the next freaking round. Yeah, it was a brutal grind.
Well, I remember, like I said, that Kevin President dude, when this was 98. So this was when the R1 first came out.
Mm-hmm.
And Kevin, we had just seen the thing at the IMS show, the R1, on the turntable and all that. And we were all like, early 20s, like in the, reading the magazine, like kind of jerking off to it, like, oh, dude, look at that, right? And I can remember Kevin flew to New York and rode his R1 cross country back, and I think he had a couple of days, and they prepped that thing, and he was out racing it that weekend.
Yeah,
crazy. right?
I know guys, they buy their bike and ride all night, all weekend to break it in before they take it to the racetrack the next week.
Well, I guess riding it across country 3,000 miles, that pretty much broke the thing in, right?
Yeah. I know a friend, he went to Vegas, party, came back, and the bike's broken in, let's strip it down.
There's one guy I know that kind of does that sort of thing right now. I mean, just this past weekend, actually. Do you know that Tebow guy?
Yeah.
Dude, Tebow got a brand new Honda, prepped it at his house, basically slapped some whatever bodywork on it, and went and kicked everybody's ass at Arroyo Seco last weekend on it.
Wow. Yeah.
Like it's pretty stock too. It's like not like your box stock. It's not like box stock, but it's like it's pretty early. You know what I mean?
A pipe and a flash and let's go.
Right.
The pipe and flash and let's go.
Flash and like plastic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. So, let's go.
There's a few people like that. So you're in this shop. You used to have that when I met you. You had just moved into the La Brea shop.
Yeah.
You were working out. I think when you gave me the Spider-Man card, you were still working out of your garage.
Yeah. I had a workshop. I had a workshop in my house at the time I was about 15 years old.
Yeah.
Move the old couch and the old furniture out of the way and start with a little shop. And 6-7 years later, I had a full-blown workshop out of my house for about 7 years, saved every freaking dime I had, sold everything I had, and saved my money, and then got into a big 3,000 square foot shop right in the middle of LA. It was overwhelming at first. Yeah. And it took off. I had a 19-year run at that place before Target and Marshalls came in and said, you got to get the hell out. Dude,
to this day, I still refuse to go to that Target.
Yeah.
Every time I see it, I flip it off on the way by.
I haven't
Fuck those guys.
Yeah. I didn't have $9 million to buy the block, but somebody did. Yeah, but it's all good. But it was a great location. And like I said, 19-year run at that spot, and I moved about a mile away to Koreatown.
You said to Koreatown.
Yeah, Koreatown, a little to the east, Okay.
Yeah,
a little more graffiti, but it has character,
Okay.
But I mean, hell, 35 years in the same area. So I'm pretty proud of that. Like I said, clients like you, I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of people that I've seen go from, little bitty, CBRs and stuff on there to BMW S1000 RRs and track bikes.
What kind of stuff do you have? Like, does your shop have like a specialty? Like, you guys are really known.
I've gone through like cycles like everybody else. I went through my early phases doing a lot of race stuff. I did magazine articles and some TV shows and a lot of Hollywood stuff. Obviously, my racing background, I probably had a dozen guys under my umbrella who I'd be out to track with every weekend. I used to coach it back in the day, TrackDaz. I ran some TrackDaz also back in the days.
I remember you lead me around when we first started doing TrackDaz at Buttonwillow. You're like, oh, I've been to Buttonwillow. Let me go. I'm like, cool. We need your help, bro.
And I had Mama White catering meals. We catered meals back then in our TrackDaz.
Oh yeah, that's right. But that was back when the ambulance was like $500.
Oh yeah. Exactly. Right? It was so unbelievably cheap. I don't even remember how cheap it was. So basically what we did is we did a lot of race performance stuff back there, and then we transitioned over when the internet started. The market definitely started changing a little bit, especially after 2010. So we pulled back on some of that stuff on there and focused more on just the general repair, a lot of insurance jobs, a lot of accessory mods and that kind of stuff, because the market's changing, and we changed with the market. And then it's kind of been a business in flux. The retail stuff for a lot of places is difficult.
It's hard,
and you just kind of have to keep reinventing yourself, So that's kind of where we're at now. A little more personalized work, which is what I'm focused on now. Customer relations, personal relationship with customers, and we're looking to see where we're going to go for the foreseeable future.
So you've kind of trained up dudes too at your place, right?
Yeah.
Like I remember, what's his name? The kid that worked there, and then he opened his own shop.
I've had a few of those. Yeah. I've had a few of those.
The one with the wife that had all the kids.
I probably had 40, 50 employees over the last 35 years. I know,
right?
Yeah, and that's
Edwin Pena.
Oh yeah, Edwin. Oh yeah. I got him out of high school.
Yeah, I remember Edwin was just a little 20-year-old dude, and then next thing you know, he's like married,
Yeah.
I think I saw them at Laguna one time, and they had like, I don't even know how many kids.
He's got 3 kids. Yeah. He's got 3 kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Peñas. Yeah. Peña
Yeah.
Racing. Yeah. Him and his brothers, they all went out to the track. In fact, I think him and his brothers all worked for me at one point in time.
Right.
They've all basically involved. Edwin raced for about 3 or 4 years. He does TrackDaz now with his group of people. And he's got a business over by downtown LA now for probably a decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you've trained up some dudes, man.
Yeah.
And then, like through you, I also met like crazy characters, like Dave Brown.
Yeah.
I'm the Chicken Hawk, right?
Yeah. Chicken Hawk. Yeah. Little angry black man. Yeah. I did a lot of work with the West Hollywood Sheriff Department's guys. They had a race team for a while.
Hugo.
Yeah, Hugo. They're still out there doing that. A lot of LAPD.
Is sheriff's racing still a thing?
No, it's kind of gone by the wayside. Yeah. Hugo's actually retired now, living in Florida.
You know what? The poor bastard. Right. It was always fun. Those guys were hilarious.
Yeah, he was. I tell you a funny story. Hugo and his motorcycle guys, they come by my shop and ditch work and hang out in the air conditioning in my showroom floor when they're supposed to be working. They were all motorcycle cops.
Of course.
And I had an R1 there for sale. And he goes, "You're selling this race bike?" I'm like, "Yeah, let me try it out." And if you know, I am in Los Angeles, about 2 miles south of Hollywood on a major boulevard. He's in his full sheriff motorcycle uniform stuff, gets on this R1 race bike, flies to the neighborhoods, going up La Brea doing wheelies. I wish we had cameras back then. This was
I'm glad we don't, though.
Yeah, and then he bought it. Yeah, he bought it and had it out of Willow Springs like a month later.
Dude, I can remember Hugo, Andy Palmer and I had that incident on the way home from the trade show that one night. And the kids, I think it was on Pico, and we were headed towards La Brea, and these kids, like right at this bridge thing, like threw rocks at my truck in the middle of the night. And I'm an idiot. I get out of my truck and I chase these fuckers all the way to their house, right? And anyway, whatever. There was maybe some firearms that weren't on my person, kind of directed at me, kind of thing. And Hugo, I was telling this story to you guys at the shop. Is you and Hugo and one other guy, I forget. Maybe it was that John guy that worked there. But I was telling him that, and Hugo's like, "Hey, where exactly was this? Do you want me to pay them a visit?" I was like, "Yeah, dude." Like he's like rolling up his sleeves, like, "Let's go, dude. Let's go knock on their door, see what's what."
Yeah, he got me out of quite a few situations by having. I keep my list of names of people who I need to know in certain situations.
Oh man,
that have gotten me out of a few of them. Another one, we were leaving Willow Springs one day and going down 60th. If you know 60th, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day, from Rosemont to the prison, there was one stop sign. And that road is dead flat, as you all know, right?
Yeah, it's bicycle route.
Okay, I'm on my RC51. I got this thing flat out. Not advisable to do this. And I'm saying, 170, 178, 178, almost about 180 miles an hour. And in the distance, I see this little black dot. It's a sheriff car.
Of course.
Now, if you know 60th, there is no one ever back there.
Never.
And I go, what are the odds of me seeing a sheriff? And I'm going flat out. He cuts on the lights. Well, I'm not going to run from him. I pull over. And I'm sitting there with my helmet off, and he's smiling. And he goes, "You were going kind of fast there." I'm like, "Yeah. How fast did you get me?" He goes, "Well, how fast were you going?" He goes, well, I cut on the radar gun and stuff. You were doing about 140. You were slowing down. So I tell him, I said, "Well, officer, I'm racing and blah, blah, blah. And I got this bike with all this cool gear on it." And he's looking at the tires all melted. And he goes, "Listen," he goes, "I could arrest you." I go, "I got my buddy, Hugo Mascara." He goes, "Hugo Mascara." Okay. He goes, "Tell Hugo he's an asshole. Forget my name and slow down. Have a good day."
Wow, dude.
Like,
that never happens to me.
Yeah. Also by the rock store, there's this redhead sheriff out there on Stunt Road that always gives people tickets. Sits in the driveway. Yeah, he's put me over twice. And every time he sees me, he's like, "Really?" Okay.
Yeah.
Tell Hugo he's an asshole. So
dude, there's a guy, that Joel guy's in the comments talking about the RC51 stuff back in the day. And he was like, "Oh, that's the easiest bike to ride. Ask Sal and I loved that guy." Like, I didn't know that. I can't believe Joel knows like our guys, like from back in the day.
Yeah, it's a small world.
Sal was one of my staff guys like 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I got
crazy. More than 20 years ago.
My RC51 model. Look at that. Look at that. I got my RC51 model right there.
Of course you do.
Yeah, collectible. I got that one signed with my my autograph, James Bubba Stewart toy autographed. Okay, this is gonna be collectible. This is going to my estate sale on that one.
I bet. Yeah, you're gonna leave that to your dogs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be so he can be well taken care of.
So when I met you, you didn't hang out. Oh, I'm getting text messages from Chile. Jesus. When I met you at the shop, you always had these like in the backyard. You had this like vicious German Shepherd, and like you. Ever since I've known you, you've been a German Shepherd guy, and you know the thumbnail for this video, I put a couple of your dogs in there. What's your deal with the German Shepherds?
I mean, I've always had dogs as a kid. I mean, and they're great dogs. I have an affinity for them, and I've had them since I was a kid. You know, I consider myself a pretty good dog trainer. Yeah. I mean, but if you get the right one, I mean, they're such good, and also they're so calm. You know, if you train them well. You know, so my dog, you can start up a Harley.
You train him well.
Yeah. You got to train him well, yeah. But you can start up a Harley. I mean, you've seen my dog's name is Rossi, obviously named after Valentino. You know, I'm a big Rossi fan. And yeah, they're just a great dog. I mean, that dog will be everywhere. I mean, you know, he sits in the driver's seat when I'm rolling down the road, you know, sitting next to me going, you know, it's my turn to drive, you know. So, yeah, so I've always had German Shepherds. The one I have now, his name is Rossi, 115-pound Eastern European Shepherd.
115 pounds.
Yeah. Now, if you remember at the old shop, I had this dog named Gaston.
Yeah.
He was an asshole. Okay, because
he was scary. That dog was scary, bro.
Yeah, he was a little scary. He wasn't as well refined as Rossi. But yeah, he was about 120-pound German Shepherd from Russia. A little bit of an attitude. But yeah,
he had a lot of attitude. But the thing is, he was a yard dog, right? Yeah. Like you would lock the gate and he'd stay in the shop yard.
He was a trained guard dog, so he had a bit of an attitude. So I couldn't let him loose around everybody. And then the Russian guys next door to me, at about 8 years, gave it to me, and I kind of rehabilitated him to an extent. But he had a little bit of an attitude. If he didn't like you, yeah,
he never looked at me sideways, but I was still like kind of like, eh.
Yeah,
I wasn't gonna reach out and pet him either.
Yeah. I used to tell people, I said, listen, you'll only have a problem with the dog under 3 circumstances: 1, if you're crazy; 2, if you mess with me; and 3, if you're cheap.
If you're cheap,
yeah. I said,
that's one way. That's one way to get the cheap asses out of the shop, right?
Okay, let's not haggle.
Wow, dude, it's so funny.
Yeah, so that was yeah. But I've always been a German Shepherd guy. Great, and he's a sweetheart, but he's intimidating too. So.
Yeah, well, they're huge. They're huge, scary looking dogs. Even if he's not scary personality wise.
Yeah.
German Shepherds are big ass dogs, dude, that could like eat your face.
Yeah. But he has this look at you just because he gives you this stare, and he's just sitting there like, "What's up?"
Yeah. I see
had people walk into the shop.
My wife and I see you with the dogs, and we're like dog weirdos, right? So, we do the pit bull rescue stuff and that kind of thing. So it's always cool the track attracts dog people. I mean, last weekend, right? Looked like a fucking dog park at the track, right?
Yeah.
Huskies and everything, little rat dogs. Like people are the last few years, actually, it seems like more and more people are bringing their dogs to the track, right?
Yeah. As long as they're well behaved and stuff on there. And like I said, he's acclimated to it. So, the noise and stuff doesn't bother him. He's very
So what was it like? What was it like transitioning from working for somebody to open up your new shop and then having to move the shop? What was that like?
Well, the move is a nightmare. Like, I mean, imagine moving your house times 10.
My God.
So yeah, that part difference is a nightmare. I mean, working for yourself is a double-edged sword. I mean, you have pride in what you do, freedom, but at the same time as you take on all the responsibilities. So there is no 9 to 5. But once again, it's like this, you have the pride of ownership. And one thing I can say, being my own boss for this long, hell, I don't even know what it'd be like working for somebody else. At the same time, like I said, we're trying to do this podcast. I'm dealing with customers and with secretary. She's got to go, blah, 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 blah. So
she's like, I'm off right now. I can't find the email. I'm like, look at that spam. She's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, and she's like, I get off at 6 o'clock.
You're like, here, I'll
So,
pay you 10 minutes of overtime.
yeah. So yeah, but I mean, I kind of keep it not quite as corporate, more like a family kind of deal, which is always a tough deal.
Yeah.
And have a relationship with your customers. I'm a very personal guy, as you can tell.
You a talker? No way.
And I like to have analogies with customers and stuff to educate. I like an educated customer who understands what's going on with the bike, like a relationship with a doctor. And I think that's important. And at the dealership situation, a lot of times you don't even know who works on your bike. It's behind the door.
Right.
Where I'm more personal.
Yeah, you could roll the thing in there, and then if you looked in there, there'd be like a 16-year-old kid, working on your bike or whatever, right?
Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Okay. So, so I have a different vibe at my place, and that's how I like to keep it personal. But it definitely is tough because we don't have a generation coming up that like you're probably at the tail end of having shop in high school.
Yeah. We had shop in high school, and most of the people in shop were like, at least in metal shop anyway, they're a bunch of stoners.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, but I was
like, we're gonna be in the welding booth.
Yeah, but but we had auto shop, metal shop, welding shop, wood shop, electrical shop. So at an early age, you got mechanical aptitude, and then you went home with your buddies and stuff, and you tore your little simple 2-stroke motorcycle apart, and chopped the end off the pipe, and we're minutes around the neighborhood, man.
Right.
I remember in high school, I'm sitting there porting cylinders, with the whatever I can make out of a Dremel, I'll make it faster.
You're making a Dremel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a grinder,
Yeah.
But by the time I started working at a motorcycle shop at 21, but I already knew how to do all the basic fundamentals, and I had a shitload of tools.
Right.
When's the last time you saw a 17, 18-year-old with a toolbox full of tools?
It's been a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. So and so it feeds down to the part I'm getting to is that when I start getting entry-level mechanics, it gets much tougher to get guys who can work at the complexities of machines at an entry level that can make a decent living, and as you've well known, count how many motorcycle shops are in LA.
Yeah. There used to be a lot, even dealerships are thinning out as well, right?
There is not a Japanese dealership in LA proper. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. They're all gone?
They're all gone.
Because I remember forever there was the Yamaha dealership right there on Highland. And then I think maybe the same people owned the Honda dealership.
That was a Robertson's, Hollywood Honda.
Yeah. Right? There was Hollywood, but then there was one in North Hollywood too. They're all gone, right?
Yep.
No shit.
Yeah.
You got to go to the Valley?
Redondo Beach of the Valley, or Whittier.
Wow.
So
like you must have a dude that's just dedicated to go and picking up parts, right?
Yes.
You're like, okay, bro, I expect you back at 2:00.
Yeah,
right
on the 405 freeway.
Yeah,
yeah, the Valley. Yeah, I mean, so that's another issue. Of all the dealerships and stuff are gone because of the cost of doing business and also getting the manpower.
I mean, the dealerships kind of went away a lot. A lot of them went away during the 2008 thing, right?
Yeah, the recession definitely hit a lot of people.
Yeah. I mean, there was some of those dealerships that were doing do you remember the out the door dealers? The ones that were like, yeah, man, we're gonna make $50 on every bike we sell, and we sell a shitload of bikes. And then they stopped selling bikes, and then it was like, right?
Yeah, they were doing. I remember that they were on the board of Inglewood and LA off Los Angeles. They were doing about 130 units a month.
No shit.
Yeah. Yeah, 130 units. They lost their lease. They moved, but also the times were changing.
Yeah.
They moved over by CarMax in Inglewood, technically.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they closed up 2-3 years ago.
Which shop was that?
That was it was called it was LA Cycle Sports. They're right in Los Angeles, right by
LA Cycle Sports.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And they went belly a couple of years ago. Marina Yamaha, Marina Honda, Marina Suzuki. Those were all dealerships that were right in LA, right at the edge of Marina.
That's kind of alarming, right? Yeah. When all the dealerships go away. I mean, we were like Montclair Yamaha people, and Montclair out of nowhere, dude, Montclair blew up like crazy.
Hmm.
They got this new big build. They had the little tiny spot in Montclair, and then they built this giant thing off the 10
Hmm.
freeway. And, they had this massive stacker trailer, semi toter home thing. And they're like, here, take this. They loaned it to us. Let us go up to do a track day weekend at Reno Fernley, right? And then like a year later, gone.
Yeah. Yeah, $30,000 a month rent, workman's comp, insurance. I mean, like I said, a lot of people go, "How do I survive with all?" If you saw the bills I have to pay with workman's comp, insurance,
Yeah.
I mean, it's on and on and on in Los Angeles. It's a very, very tough business. So it takes
Tim Rice's place, the Honda of La Puente Honda or whatever. La Puente, is that right?
Yeah, La Puente. Yeah.
Yeah. So Tim bought that new building and had the whole thing and moved his shop from the little tiny spot in La Puente to this giant thing, and he was gone. Like,
yeah,
so crazy.
Yeah, I've seen a couple of small independent shops and stuff on there trying to do the used bike thing and stuff for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a tough business, and like I said, it's a combination of gentrification, rent, regulation. You pay for everything. It's something new every year. Every year, I open an envelope. I'm like, what next? I'm
like, what kind of stuff is what kind of regulatory envelopes are you getting that affects the business?
Oh man, well, first of all, trash, has tripled in cost after recycling. They want me to have a green can now. I'm a motorcycle shop. What am I putting in the green can? Okay.
The empty oil.
Oh no. You have to have two separate things for your oil filters.
Okay.
You have to pay for the oil to get picked up, pay for the oil to be there. You have to pay for your batteries, and the batteries.
You have to pay for the oil to be there?
Yes. Yeah. You
have to pay for the right to have oil on property.
Absolutely.
Wow.
You have to pay to have tires there for the city, and you have to pay to get them picked up.
Okay.
So you pay double there. Pay for batteries. You get paid for the batteries, but you have to pay the city to have batteries. You have to
there's
pay
like
for
you have like a permit for every little thing.
Absolutely.
No shit. So you have an oil permit. You probably have a tire permit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Battery permit.
Yeah, dude.
Gas permit.
Do you have a permit for TP?
Probably it has to be organic TP.
Cardboard straws. You have single ply only. 2 plies, that's a fine.
Well, my secretary would never go for single ply. Okay, you talk to your wife about that single ply. Us guys don't care. Talk to your wife about the toilet paper.
So the podcast just took an interesting turn. We're talking about toilet paper ply now.
But anyway, the regulation is tough, and that's why a lot of people, definitely have a hard time with regulation, and the employee stuff. If you well know and stuff on there, McDonald's pays better than a lot of motorcycle shops pay.
Dude, there was some chick at the gas station. She was like, I don't get paid enough for this. I don't know what she makes. I don't even know what minimum wage is anymore, right? Okay. But she's like, I could go right over here and work at McDonald's for $20 an hour. And I'm like, why don't you?
Yeah. You can push the hamburger button. Yeah.
Yeah, that's tough.
But it's true. I mean, and unfortunately, that's part of the situation. You have to pay a lot of money for unskilled labor. And the people who are skilled. I mean, if you want to know, you talk to a lot of the people in the hiring shops. You talk to Richard over at TAC, you talk to Chuck Graves, some other people for their quality people. You'd be surprised at what they have to pay.
Well, dude, I mean, Richard pays. I mean, I don't know what Joseph makes, but I think Joseph makes pretty good money there.
Oh yeah, I know some of the numbers. Trust me, I talk to these guys, and you got to remember, it's not their numbers. It's also what you have to pay the city in taxes and workman comp, blah blah blah.
100%. Yeah.
So it's not just that salary. Right. But in order to retain those people, the salaries and stuff are pretty astronomical. Which makes it smaller for a small shop, to survive. So a lot of it's just passion. I enjoy what I do. It's my baby and stuff on there. But a lot of people aren't going to put up with it for what you're going to make. I'm really proud and stuff of Jared over at Motorsport Exotica. He just moved to a new location.
Dude, that guy is he's one of the most like driven dudes. Like that dude is like ambitious as fuck.
Yeah,
right?
I give him kudos because if you ever saw his first shop where he started at, but like that, he's jumped into another level, and I know it's gonna be a tough struggle.
And he's he's doing the racing thing. I don't know who's riding his bike now, but man, like he comes out swinging, dude.
Yeah.
Like That guy is just like, hey, check this out.
Yeah, but also I know behind the scenes and stuff on there, there's going to be a lot of pressure and a lot of stress and stuff to make that thing go, and he's got to put in the hours. Like I said, at my peak, I was doing 60-hour weeks, and you have to, you have to do 60-hour weeks,
So
sure.
you've been around for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and you've gone through the carburetor stuff, and you
Oh,
were probably
absolutely.
kicking around with flat slides and
Oh,
shit, right?
absolutely.
And then now it's like all the electronic nanny shit now. Like, how do you wrap your brain around doing it the old way with the flat slides and the carburetors and the steel frames and the bias ply tires? And how do you transition your brain and wrap it around spending most of your energy on the laptop?
You grab
And
somebody, you grab somebody 30
texting,
years
and
old. Okay.
you grab somebody that's 20 years old.
30 years old. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's going to be, like I said, it's the electronic thing. It's probably one of your biggest things when you get your older techs to get them to transition over that, because it's a different mindset,
Yeah.
So a lot of people, you get them to a certain level, but realistically, that's where you need the youth coming in, because they do not know a world without the internet.
Right.
They don't know a world without basically, all the algorithms and everything and the technology that it takes to do this. So I found at my point, I call myself, I'm like the ringmaster of a circus. You got 3 rings going on, you got the clowns and this and that, and you're sitting there doing it all, and you're managing it all. But everybody has a specialty. And if you talk to guys
managing the
like,
clowns.
yeah, I'm the ringmaster, okay. But once again, it can't run without that coordination of managing all these things, which is definitely a talent that everybody doesn't have. You have to be able to multitask.
Right.
You have to know your people, treat them all slightly differently. But that is the biggest thing and stuff that I've been able to manage, is to be able to manage all these things and getting good people. Like I have like one guy that, could I TIG and MIG weld? Yeah. This guy is a lot better at it than I am. So get him and let him do the refined work.
Oh, so you guys have like fab stuff happening.
Yeah, we do like fab stuff on there. Some stuff I will sublet out though, depending on what it is,
Okay.
Same thing with machining. Yeah, we can do a certain amount of machining, but I got a guy down in Gardena that does aerospace level stuff. And the same thing, we all do different painters,
Fucking painters, right?
Yeah, they're a different breed.
Right? Like, I mean, I just did a stupid little story about painters, but
yeah,
like,
they're artists.
Give me a painter story, dude.
Oh, well,
they're all the same, right? Like
they're artists. Okay, so I give one example. I said I want this paint job. This guy wants this particular color, this pearl and stuff on there, right? And it's a beautiful paint job. The guy spent thousands of dollars. And if you strip a bike down, how much work it is, just tearing it down, get it to the guy, coming back. So I come back and I look at the paint. I'm like, that's not quite what we talked about. And it is a beautiful paint job. I mean, it was like this chameleon pearl, but it's not quite what we talked about, right? So my painter and stuff, he's all animated. You have to work this tuck and the colors and house of colors and blah blah. Look at it. He goes, "We'll just have your customer hold it in this light." Okay, I'm
my God.
Have him show up at 5:00. The light will be just right. It'll be color that he wants. But but they're definitely characters, to say the least. But they're artists. They're artists, and you've probably dealt with a lot of painters.
Dude.
We have one painter, we won't mention his name, but we know we're talking about.
Which one?
Down in Huntington Beach, our boy in Huntington Beach.
Matt, dude, Matt's retired.
I know. I've been,
dude. You know what, Matt? He always did good work for me, man. The joke used to be like, okay, if I'm gonna go get a job done from this guy, I had to have at least an hour to spare so I could talk to him.
Yeah.
Right. And I know some other people that were like, oh yeah, dude, I know the deal with that guy. I'm going to take a phone call. My phone's going to ring 15 minutes in and I'm going to be like, oh, I got to go. Like there was that kind of stuff. And Matt Steele, like, I think the biggest problem I had with Matt, and it wasn't like once I got my stuff, I was stoked, but like just the time.
Yeah.
I
had a special relationship with us. We had a pretty good
like Matt was rad, dude. Like, and I'd walk into his shop and be like, okay, bro, this is what I'm thinking. And, the metal flake thing is what, I think it pushed us over, right? Because he was like, metal flake on a sport bike, dude? What? I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm a scumbag Mexican from Sacramento, like when I was a little kid, So like, let's do this, right? I want a lowrider, I want a chain link steering wheel, that kind of stuff. And he was like, he had all this gold leaf stuff and like different colors of metal flake. And he was shocked that somebody asked for it because it'd been sitting on his shelf since the chopper thing had gone out of fashion, right?
Insert boards.
Yeah. So, he was like stoked to get to use it again, even though it'd ruin his filters, right? He would always complain that my metal flake would kill his filters. But
when you ever met a painter that doesn't complain? That's just what they do. They're artists.
100%.
They're artists.
But I mean, I've had Concept 5. I've had a bunch of painters over the years, man. These weird Corvette dudes in Upland.
Well, like I said, I got a new guy who I give a good credit to, Kevin over at Born Again Fairings. Been doing some of my work lately.
That dude's still around?
Yeah,
wow.
I hooked back up with him. He did a paint job for me on the MT-09.
Okay.
Small one shop guy.
Yeah.
He's over there. He's in Azusa now.
Yeah, he was in like, what was it?
He was in where's Raging Waters at? He was in
San Dimas.
San Dimas, yes.
Yeah.
So so I give a big ups to him. He's doing a couple of jobs for me right now. So since Matt is retired, I'm dealing with him now. But painters are hard to find.
Yeah, dude, Matt. Losing Matt bummed me out, dude. I'll be real. Like, it bummed me out because that dude was so good at what he did, even though it took forever and you had to talk your ear off to get your stuff. It was awesome.
Yeah. Matt, they did great work. Yeah, great
fucking
work.
painters, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So that was the fiberglass guys. But there's a lot of old school guys out there. But they're also, that's another thing with the regulation. It's hard to find guys who can do a good quality paint job. That'll get and repair.
And repair.
He's patched my stuff up.
Who are you using now? I mean, if you don't.
Kevin over at Born Again.
Oh, the Born Again guy.
Yeah,
that's who you're using. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying him out. I've been working with him for like the last 6 months.
We just had Bryce connect us with his dude for the race team stuff. He did all right.
Yeah, I did some. So logistics for me is a problem with that job.
Yeah,
so, and that's the only problem with me.
Yeah, I guess they had their own painter drama over there, and they got the bodywork back from some guy, and it was like the wrong color blue and stuff, and you know how that goes. So,
but you got to hold it in the right light; it'll be right.
Yeah, you gotta just, dude. If you just look at it like this, it's perfect.
It's that's not purple. That's blue. What are you talking about?
Right.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Joel wants to know who does race body work repair.
Well, once again, Matt was finding good fiberglass guys are tough right now. So, like I said, I was dealing with Matt. He was doing he fixed my TZ a bunch of times. Amazing work. So it's definitely. I'm trying the guy at Born Again out. I am doing some research for some other glass and carbon guys. I do have some automotive guys who can do some work. It's just sometimes the price point.
You got to find Corvette dudes again, right?
I mean, I got a guy who does Porsche and does fab stuff over in the shop in the Valley, speedsters. But we're I am searching for that, and also the fab guy who I've known for 30 years, who has a 4-axis CNC machine, great work. A lot of these guys are getting older and they're falling by the wayside.
Yeah.
And this is the guy that he'd make axles for me, fix reverse threads, slots, swing arms, and would do the stuff right. I mean, those guys are getting harder and harder to find. And they're all getting pushed out of the city.
Dude, it's like the old frame straightener guys, right?
Yeah.
Losing Mackie. Like, what, dude?
Moving Mac, moving Grant. Yeah, because I mean, and that's another struggle, like right now is finding the guys to do some work. I got a couple.
Dr. John's still doing it?
Yeah, Dr. John does some work for me and stuff on there. But once again, it's, he's getting up there, in age, and that's a small shop.
Yeah.
I talked to him the other day about trying to get a Can-Am Spider frame replaced. He goes, I mean, he couldn't do it,
Really?
Yeah. I got 2 Can-Am Spiders with some big, A-arm bent on there. I need a guy to do it, and I'm searching for that. Yeah, big jobs.
Wow.
So
gotta make it happen, huh? It's gotta.
I mean, but once again, if something happens to him, I mean, the next guy is all the way down to San Diego.
Right. Yeah, it's crazy. Like Richard's getting up there too, man. So it's like, man, like I'm looking at my racing and I'm like, yeah, Dr. Brian's getting kind of old, dude. Like,
yeah,
right.
Yeah, it's going to
So
get
it's
different.
like
Though. Yeah.
everything's like
So I
that.
mean, we really got it. I mean, the big thing that the industry has to address is where we're going to get that next generation of passionate,
Right.
Motorcyclists. Because once I know about the younger people, we grew up on there. We lived motorcycles. We went to the motorcycle show. We went to the racetrack.
We're
We went
talking
to
about it like it's past tense, bro. We're still doing this shit. Like,
yeah, but like I said, I'm trying to look for that next generation of 20-year-old, 21-year-old, 22-year-old, that lives and breathes and works on this motorcycle, goes to the racetrack, wants to race, is sitting looking at podcasts like this on the weekends. Where's he at? He's in his garage working on his motorcycle.
Yeah.
Or wants to come out and just hang out. Remember the guys who used to just come and hang out and help you?
Yeah, dude. I was that guy, remember?
Yeah. Remember the guy that just,
my early
I'd be
20s.
sitting there, be at my shop at 5:30 in the morning so we can go to Willow Springs. 5:35, I'm leaving. That kid's sitting there, he's sitting there waiting.
Dude, I've been trying to tap these kids that live up the street. One of the brothers bought an R7 from us last year, and I'm trying to get the other brother to buy the black one I've got for this year, so both of them would be on R7s. And I've taken them both on 2-up rides. I'm really trying to suck them in, and because maybe they'll convince their friends to do it too. We'll see. We'll see how this works.
I mean, what I'm working on with, I do a lot of outreach stuff on there. I try to do as much as I can in the community, but I've been working on trying to get a program with some of the foundations and to try to get some programs where I get some scholarships to take mentor, but not necessarily on my dime, but my time.
Right.
And to do something where I can get some kids in there, or not even kids, just young people or disadvantaged people, get them some tools, get them some time, and then take them out to the track. Talk to everybody and show them, hey, look what this world's about. Because I've done some mentoring telling people that you can be into aerodynamic aerospace, and next thing you know, you find yourself working at MotoGP or Formula One.
Right.
You could be a strategist
the data stuff.
And next thing you know, you're doing data and you're traveling around the world. You could be somebody and stuff on there that just does logistics, and next thing you know, you're working for a race team. People don't understand as this industry gets more and more complex. A lot of these jobs where you never thought you would be are going to have you at a world that, man, wouldn't you love to be 26, 27 years old with a college degree, traveling around the world doing races and that kind of stuff on there?
Yeah, that data stuff is huge. I mean, data engineer stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, you met that Chloe engineer, right?
I probably know who it is.
Chloe, she used to come out to the races, club races, and do like the AIM data stuff. And then she was at Daytona, and I introduced her to Richard. And Richard's really fascinated by somebody young who wants to get into the data thing. And she spent some time with the M4 team, right? And then I think she's doing some stuff like international car race team stuff now.
Yeah. But a lot of times when I get to events when there's a lot of youth, we'll have just basically a lot of people, telling youth about where they started and where they ended just by getting an education, but all the phenomenal. So I always come from the racing perspective, whether it's MotoGP at the top pinnacle or Formula One. And explaining to these people that half these people behind the scenes did not start anything with racing. They had a skill set that racing found them. Right. And then you, instead of sitting at the office, man, you just got a cool ass freaking job. So, so you got to get that kid to come out to the racetrack and look at this stuff at the level that we're at now and go, man, what's that guy doing?
Dude, you, if I remember correctly, you used to have a couple of bikes that were just like, I just want to call them thrashers. You had this, you had a Gixxer, and I think you had a Honda, and you would bring complete noobs out to the track on it.
Yeah. Those are my loaner bikes to let people come out.
The loaner bike. There you go.
Yeah, because if you didn't crash, I didn't give a shit if you crashed it.
Yeah. The thrashers. I called it a thrasher.
Well, I mean, it was a good bike under the skin. I just had shitty bodywork on it.
Yeah.
So if you crash it, I didn't get. I'd have Matt glue it back together, and we're good. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it was always good to have a bike like that because you get somebody who shows that motivation. And if I can get them hooked, just come out. I mean, I'm gonna throw some takeoffs on there, throw it in my trailer, come on out there, just show the interest and the effort, and I'll put the rest in.
Well, that's how you've become this fixture in the. I kept saying it when I promoted this thing. I was like, this guy's been a fixture in the LA motorcycle scene forever, and that's how you become that fixture and the pillar by drawing people in, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, but like I said, it's all about passion. Like I
yeah,
said, if I was doing something else, I'd probably make twice as much money and have less headaches. But this is my passion.
yeah,
And as you well know, like I said, when I stopped racing really competitively and came back out to the track in my second generation around 2003, if I'm sitting at the track on there, man, I have just as much fun helping people at the track, just helping them out, or
yeah.
somebody needs something, hey, come and see me.
Yeah, like how many Toyota 200s at Willow did you
Oh, God.
participate?
I never missed the one. Yeah, I never missed the one. Yeah, absolutely. But that's
you had a rider in every one of them, right?
yeah, but that's just the fun of it and stuff. And sitting there, at the shack in the old days and stuff on there, getting, home at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning and getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. And, hell, back in the day, we would, we'd change a motor in the middle of the night. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, or rebuild something in the middle of the night. They go, we're going home. Hey, what you talking about? We can fix that, It's a little bent, but we'll be okay. We'll lose 3 seconds. We're fine.
Yeah, well, it's going to turn really good to the left.
Yeah.
I mean, there's only 3 lefts here, but
we'll get it back together. Yeah, but I mean, that's just the difference when you really have a passion about it.
Yeah.
Because as you well know, I rode 250s for years. I still have a TZ 250 in my man.
You still have the flamethrower bike? The that's what I call the paint job that you put on.
No, it's a different paint job on it now.
Oh, you got rid of the flames?
I still have it in the garage. I got that body where I can't get it up someplace. But
all right.
Yeah, but like, when you have one of those bikes, you can't be shy on work. But I love two strokes. I love it.
Yeah.
But we're rebuilding crankshaft at the racetrack where everybody else would go home.
Right.
Pulling cylinders off, pulling jets off.
It's weird, again, like that's how the racing has kind of evolved, right? Like when I started racing at Willow, there was always the 2-stroke pit in turn 1, right?
Yep.
And you knew that you were in the 2-stroke pits because everybody there was dirty.
Yeah.
Right?
And also you never got to see the races. You were always working on your bike.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Like there was literally like back in the day, Willow, there'd be like 300 people there on a race weekend, right? It wasn't like nowadays where
I remember it would be lined up
from
turn 2 to 4 to 5, 6, all the way down the back straightaway. Just people.
Yeah. So you'd roll through the pits and there'd be like that 2-stroke area, and it was like a row of 125s and a row of 250s all the way down, right? And that's where they were. And you used to pit in turn 1.
Yeah. Yeah.
I recall that.
If I couldn't get the front straightaway, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was a front straightaway guy because I always tried to pit with Curtis Adams and Jacob West, right?
Yeah. I even let Jacob ride my 250 one time. That was
Did
funny.
you?
Yeah. Over Buttonwillow. Yeah, that's when he was down to, I think it was 160 with Jacob at now, about
when he was 60. He was like starving himself to be like 180.
Yeah. But when I was racing AMA, we'd all be in one area and everybody had their engines apart, jetting this and that.
Yeah.
And I remember I did the last 250 race at Laguna Seca in 2003. And I remember talking to my friend Perry Melnichek, who was Rich Oliver's teammate. And the next year he raced Super Sport. And his comment was, he goes, man, after I changed the gearing, there's nothing to do. I get to actually walk the races. For 10 years, I never watched the race because I was always working on my motor.
Yeah.
And that's how it was, back then. Nowadays, what do? You make a suspension change, you maybe change a tire and put your warmers on.
Right. Put gas in it.
Put gas in it.
Yeah, you can put gas in it, dude.
Thank God,
Yeah.
Yeah, but we'd be having our cylinders apart and, doing a plug, pushing your bike to get it started, and it wouldn't start. You push around the
plug shop.
Plug shop. Yeah.
Go through 8 on the cool down lap.
Yeah. Plug shop.
Plug shop, and then
and hope you make it to the pit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So but yeah, I love my 2-stroke. I mean, I got to drag it out to the next track day.
You should, dude.
The yellow bumblebee with all the smoke. I got to drag that baby out.
What's crazy is we've been talking about this, and we've known each other for years, but dude, we've been riding together on the track for what, 25 years?
Yeah, probably 25 years. Yeah, 25 years.
What?
Yeah, 25 years.
Yeah. So, like, I can remember, we started the TrackDaz thing in 2000, and you came out and rode with us, and you're like, man, you don't know what you're doing. I was like, I know, right? Yeah. So, like, I remember you leading me and a couple of my guys around Buttonwillow, and you've been around you've been around the button the willow thing, all the changes in ownership and the new tracks that popped up, and Fontana, right?
Yeah. I mean,
Which, dude, Fontana's come and gone in that time.
Yeah. I mean, it came, it went, came back, and it went again.
I didn't know it. I didn't know it went the first time.
Yeah. Well, they're having restrictions and money problems, transitions, and they didn't know what they were going to do. But I remember also, I rode Riverside Raceway. I never rode Ontario. I started racing at the end of Ontario, but I rode Riverside Raceway. Yeah. And you think that wall in turn one at the new track is something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Riverside had a wall with a bump there that was going way faster, but that was a different.
Dude, there's a picture that you have at the shop. I remember. I want to say it might have been an old, like from the 80s. It was like a Sears Point picture, and there was like hay bales behind you. I'm like, what?
No. Laguna. I'll tell you this story. This is probably one of the darkest days of my life. We were Laguna in, I think, 1982, and turn 2 was a left-hand corner that you probably hit in 4th gear, and the runoff was probably 30 feet, and you had hay bales in front of tires in front of a guardrail, and in the mountain probably went up about 15 feet.
Yeah, you would go up the Laguna. You would go up from there to what is turn 5 now.
Yes, right. But that, I mean, they used to say on a 550, which equates to 600, you go from 6th to 4th gear and hit it flat. So you were still doing, even back then, you were still probably doing 115, 120 miles an hour on the 600. Jesus. But if you lost it, you would basically, hit these hay bales, and the curves. If you remember, curves back in the day were high because they were for cars.
I think one of the curbing in the original turn 2 is still there in the Lagoon.
No, it's way wider now. But and we had a box stock, which means that the foot pegs were stock and they were much lower. You drag your pegs all the time, okay? And your pegs would be razor thin. That's how much you'd wear them. They'd be like little triangles, right? And a friend of mine, we were racing box stock 400s, and he went in there and he leaned and hit the curb, straightened up, and panicked and hit the hay bale straight on. Oh. He flew over the hay bales, over the tires, into the side of the mountain, broke his neck, and died. And that was like my 4th race.
Jesus.
4th race. And that was like, I mean, I remember it like it was yesterday. And you're not supposed to stop on the track. My friend John Thornton, remember my friend John?
John.
Who I've known since high school. He hopped off his bike and ran over there, and came back to us and said, Mike had a bad accident, and they called us in and told me he had passed away. And I mean, that was just like, one of the worst days of my life, but the track had changed. You couldn't even imagine a track having that little runoff in today's, modern times. But it was common back then. Yeah. I mean, you'd hit a hay bale. Turn 6 in Laguna. I knew guys hit the hay bale and went over the guardrail and went down the mountainside into the bushes. There's a fence there now and sand.
I remember there used to be trees on the entry of the, on the entry of the corkscrew.
No, they used to be, you'd run up there.
Didn't Akira Yatagawa end up in that tree?
No, I ran off going up Laguna. If you went wide, there was dirt and the tree. In that picture we see Laguna Seca, if you overshot, you hit dirt and slide and hit the tree, which had hay bales around it. Right. And that's how it was going up there. Yeah. So you'd aim at the tree, but there was a tree at the top of the hill. Yeah. And if you went too wide, you'd hit the dirt. You just tuck the front end and slide into the hay bales. The bridge coming on.
Like you're talking about sliding into the hay bales like all nonchalant.
Yeah, but if you didn't know any better, you're glad there was a hay bale there. It's supposed to be tires. Oh man. They had tires.
Yeah, so like what you're saying with the rider safety stuff, it's crazy how far the rider safety's come in, over the years, right? Yeah. And then, we have this brand new racetrack, and, when it was being built, we're all excited about this hype machine behind it. Like, holy shit, we're going to get to ride this new thing, right? And I like a year ago, I pedaled around the track on video, and there was no wall there, dude. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, like a year later, there's a wall there.
Yeah.
And so we're like, now what?
I mean, think about it. It's modern tracks. We're so used to looking at World Superbike, MotoGP, and guys spit off at 175 miles an hour, and you almost never even make it to the air fence. No. And if you do, there's an air fence there. Right. 20 years ago, you were blowing up a hay bale. you know,
Right.
and that stuff is just completely unacceptable. And even the gravel runoff. Yeah, I mean, you probably remember Willow Springs turn 8. You went up and turned 8. It was going through
anywhere at Willow Springs.
Yeah, grapefruit sized rocks. You know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, hitting that stuff.
Are you sure that's a rock or not a desert tortoise?
It could be whatever. I mean, but yeah, it was, and it's improved dramatically.
Really?
Of what it used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, I mean, you know, with the new track, you know, as soon as I got notice that there was a wall there, it was like on the mission, you know, and it was like behind the scenes. You know, for a long time, like for a couple months, we were behind the scenes working on that deal and working on getting the air fans, had the rental dude lined up. Everything was cool. And then, you know, as we got closer to the event, you know, the rental dude didn't work out, but thankfully John Ulrich was like super down to help us with the air fence stuff. And truthfully, like that event last weekend wouldn't have happened without that guy. And it's just amazing to me that a track in 2025 opens up and there's a giant wall in turn 1, you know. That there's a few other walls there, obviously, but that one was the big concern for me. And I mean, what do you think?
I mean, you know, the situation with the wall there, it's, you know, you always look at worst case scenario. Yeah. You know, you always look at worst case scenario. I mean, because a lot of situations where, you know, 99.9% of the time, you know, nothing's going to happen, you know. Right. But it's that one scenario where you go and grab a handful of freaking brakes and, you know, and once again, the guy doesn't bail off. You know, you go right into that, and that's what you have to take into consideration. Right. And in modern racetracks, they look at worst case scenario.
Yeah.
You know, even Formula One, you know, last season where they had one of the cars flip over the barrier.
Right.
You know, what are the odds of that happening on the Formula One today, flipping upside down and clearing a barrier?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, guess what? They addressed it.
Yeah. I mean, the tracks are a lot safer now. And, you know, quite frankly, the track's listening to us. Mm-hmm. You know, like I've been having meetings with the track management there for months, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, when I saw the wall there and, you know, we were doing the air fence stuff and I was like, dude, like even with the air fence, like there's no reason for that turn 1 wall to be there. Like it makes no sense. And the logic behind its reasoning behind being there also really made no sense. And I straight up told the board member, I was like, hey man, the cars aren't going to like that wall either. And I walked the pits during that car race weekend and I got a lot of interesting things for the car guys. They didn't seem to give a shit about it other than they thought it was weird accelerating towards a wall. Mm-hmm. Like you heard yourself say that, right? You're accelerating towards a wall and you're saying that like, what?
They're car guys.
But the other thing was the complaint that they had was getting on the racetrack. They'd look over their passenger side and they couldn't see the cars coming. Mm-hmm. And that was more of a concern for them. Mm-hmm. For us, we don't give a shit about what's coming because we know we're going to stay to the left, right? And, you know, for us, it's more like the...
No, it's
but now we're accelerating towards air fence. So
don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. Like I remember at Daytona. Remember Daytona used to have grass going into turn 1.
Kind of.
No,
it's been a minute.
Daytona had grass. Right now, you overshoot turn 1 at Daytona. You have a parking lot to slow down and turn around.
100%.
You went off the track. Yeah. It was grass.
Yeah.
I slid off in 1989, 90. The Motor Season, my 250. I hit that, and it always rained in March at Daytona. And when it rained, you sent out the Super Bikes and the 250s, and Super Bikes were the premier show. I hit that grass, and I slid all the way to the hay bales and stopped right before the hay bales.
Wow!
And if you know Daytona, going to turn 1, you are moving.
You're cooking.
Yeah, you're cooking.
We're cooking.
But that was as late as 1990, and I stopped maybe 4 or 5 feet from the hay bales, sledding across the grass in the wet. Soon as long as it, but you know, you didn't know any better. You didn't think anything of it. It's like, okay, I didn't hit the hay bales, you know.
You're like, sweet, good. No hay bales this time.
No hay bales this time, you know.
Like, what kind of injuries were you getting back in the day?
Well, it is funny. People, you know, who talk to me and I tell them, you know, I race motorcycles and I still go out and they go, well, have you ever been hurt? And in that, I was telling him, I said, listen, I said, I've been basically riding motorcycles now for, going on 50 freaking years since I was a little kid. And I tell people, if you had somebody that played NFL football from the time, let's say, for 10 years, they got 10 years in the game, and they played high school and college, ask that gentleman how many injuries he has.
Right.
He will not look half as good as me. Okay?
Okay. I knew we were going to get to you're telling everybody how good you look. I knew that was coming.
Okay, black don't crack.
Jesus Christ. I think I'm going to make that a t-shirt.
I've been lucky that I've had no major injuries, but collarbone, rib, fracture in the back,
Do you have
fingers,
the fucked up hands?
Yeah, fingers, those kind of things. But the one thing I can say in all the crashes I've had, I've never destroyed a helmet.
Lucky.
Yeah, and I know your last crash over there in Riverside, I saw what that thing looked like. Yeah. So, in fact, the last crash I had was at Laguna at the CRA race. And I remember sliding down the road in the most bizarre crash. And the only thing I was thinking about was my freaking brand new carbon helmet. I said, I don't care about my suit. I'll get it fixed. My gloves, I don't care. I was worried about that $1,000 helmet I had matte paint.
Oh, my God.
And we have a picture of me sliding down the road with my hands up. And you can see my name on the back of the head. Oh. And I'm sliding down the road with my hands up, and I'm going like this. I'm like, hands up, don't shoot.
Dude, I've got one of those.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Actually, I think the one that you were talking about is one of those custom painted matte helmets. And, yeah, that was tough. That was tough to lose that thing. But somehow I'm like, I must be hard headed or something. Cause like, if I go down, I'm like using my head to hold myself up.
I'm looking where I'm going. I mean, I've probably got a half dozen destroyed suits hanging up on the wall. But in fact,
you ever had one cut off you?
Yeah, my first suit got cut off me. After that, I said, "Frick this! I will get out of this suit. You're not cutting my suit." Yeah, they cut one suit off me at Turn 5 at Willow, and I was so pissed off. And the second time I fell, I broke my collarbone. I go, I don't know how long we got to sit here. You're not cutting this fucking suit off of me. I will get out of this damn suit.
Oh, dude, I was out there. I've been out there at crash scenes and stuff at TrackDaz for 25 years, and there's always that crusty racer guy that's like, you will not cut my suit, like want to start a fight. And I'm like, bro, your arm is like destroyed, dude. Like we need your,
I had a broken collarbone. I said, I will get out of this suit. You're not cutting the suit off of me. Okay.
Wow, man.
Broken collarbone.
That's hilarious.
In fact, the only time I hit my head was actually doing supermoto, out of Adams.
Yeah.
You lost the brakes. I bailed.
Okay. You bailed at Adams.
Oh, I said I wasn't gonna hit the moto track. There's no runoff on those tracks.
No, dude. No. Like at Apex, you John Hopkins doing a pretty good job there. Yeah. But back in the day, if you went counter course and you went down that straightaway and there's that little wheelie bump right at the end.
Yeah.
If you ran wide there, dude, you were in the Legos.
Yeah. Right? I laid it down there too. Another time I'm downshifting, the things chatter. I'm like, okay, we're gonna turn here pretty soon. We're gonna turn soon. No, we're not. God. In the dirt. Okay.
Yeah.
Motocross.
Yeah. Have you seen or heard of the people going to the kart tracks like that at Adams and Apex on like R1s and 600s?
Okay. Funny story. Okay. So if you remember, Tony Elias had to fill in on an Attack R1 about 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. And he had never ridden a Yamaha, right? So I know Tony. So somebody said, hey, Alex has a bike and maybe he'll let you take it out so you can get it, and me and Tony must be about a foot different in height. All right.
Right. Yeah.
So I'd
say 2 foot. I'd say 2 foot difference.
Yeah. So I said, you want to take the bike out? He took it out to a go-kart track.
Of course he did.
I think he took it to Apex. And he just rode it around just to kind of see how the motor felt and ride around on the bike and just look around. I said, do you ever get out of first gear? I think I had button wheel gearing on the thing. And I got in the second gear and I got a little sideways. It's just, but yeah, he's
that's
like,
funny. He with your bike, he was trying to get the Broham, dude.
Yeah, it was.
Like, right? Yeah.
But I wish I had a picture of that because like I have everything stretched out on my bike. I have long arms. Like the handlebars really far, the foot plate really far back.
Yeah.
I got the tank hump, and I think Tony's all about 5'1" with probably 22-inch arm length or something like that.
Right.
But yeah, but
So
he took my R1
you let the Spanish midget ride your bike, and
yeah, yeah,
it came back in one piece.
yeah. He just didn't bring my tie downs back. They were good. Yeah.
Oh, he snaked your
He
tie
snaked
downs?
my tie downs. Yeah, I got him eventually.
Oh man, busted, Tony!
Yeah,
You stole
yeah.
Alex's tie downs.
Yeah, but that
Wow.
must have been funny. Some kids going by there, seeing this little bitty short guy on this big bike on this go kart track, flicking around. But that was
Oh
pretty
yeah, like
cool.
R1 Superbike at Apex.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah.
mean, I know there was a guy that brought an R1 out there and stacked it into the Legos. I don't know what they call them, but
Yeah, you're
the
never
go-kart
gonna get
barriers.
any heat into the tires at that place. I don't know. Yeah,
Dude, so crazy, man. Like
yeah.
I'll ride my supermoto there just to dick around, but like I don't get the big bike thing
I
there.
don't even think I could take my TZ on that track and really, yeah,
No, dude.
get out of third gear. Yeah,
No, not at all. Not
yeah,
at all.
yeah.
So what's the coolest project that you've done at the shop over the years? Because you
Oh
used to do
man.
movie shit, like
Yeah,
you
I
used to
mean,
do crazy carbon stuff, like
yeah, we get a lot of commercial stuff, for this commercials, and sometimes we have to transport bikes and the different things. I think the coolest bike I did a Hyundai commercial. Um,
really.
yeah, and the theme of the commercial was it's good to have a turbo to get out of situations, right? And it was scenes of like a family would pull up and they see a truck with fireworks on fire and they got to get out of there, or they see a
Right.
truck with like chemical waste spilling, they got to get out of there, right? So I built the bike for them, and actually it was one of my Triumph race bikes, and they had a guy in a fat suit with a pink G-string up his butt, looking at this guy's wife. The guys go, "It's good to have a turbo to get out of here." And
Oh my God.
and it was hilarious because this guy's in a fat suit with a pink G-string up his butt and like a fat weave, and he's looking at this guy's wife like, "Yeah, baby," and the guy's looking at him, and he hits the gas on a little Subaru Turbo or the Hyundai Turbo, and takes off. And we had to go through so much stuff to get that thing signed off. You wouldn't believe, you know.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and a few music videos that we've done, up in Hollywood, for some guys. And then I get this kind of oddball bikes, like this big Batmobile bike we built for a guy out of a V-Rod. We've had some, it looked like a Batmobile. It looked like the Bat bike.
Really?
Yeah, some pretty fiberglass stuff. Some cool bobber stuff for the hipsters,
The hipster.
19-inch.
I remember you kind of you had this like hipster thing.
Yeah.
There'd be dudes in like fishnet tank tops hanging out at the shop, and I'm like,
yeah, they pay the bills,
yeah,
they pay the
like,
bills.
hey, and I think I even said something. You're like, look at where we are, bro.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm in Hollywood.
It's here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of these things, I call them bar bikes. I mean, completely unrideable things. They look cool.
Bar bikes.
Bar bikes, yeah. You're gonna get to the bar and park it and get drunk and take it home because it's unrideable.
Okay.
Yeah. 19-inch low profile front rear tires with a Springer hardtail. Yeah, look good.
That sounds like chopper scene.
It was a bobber, but it was a hardtail with 19-inch low profile tires. I mean, if you hit a bump, your testicles will come out your throat. But it looked good. Yeah. So yeah, we ended up putting airbags under the seat and hiding it, and it was a pretty cool little project. Bike wraps, they want like some crazy color. We did a bike for Nicki Minaj video, and they wanted it purple. I mean, purple.
Purple.
Yeah, purple.
Not blurple.
No, I'm talking purple.
Oh, Barney.
Yeah, we did some wraps and stuff on there and did some video stuff on that. Geico commercials. You did a couple of some writers in Geico commercials. Yeah, I'm the black guy in the Geico commercial.
You're the black guy in the
Geico. Yeah, and we did.
Nice.
Noted. And we sung it was a White Snake song that we had to sing. Yeah, in the song. So I'm the guy on the Harley.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, White Snake. That's pretty cool. Yeah, and also we get I'm a name dropper. A lot of celebrities come through and get some cool bikes.
You used to also, you dealt with a lot of characters at the shop over the years. Like, like there was always that weird kid that was really willing to risk it all on the street.
No, the kids. I mean, I got some grown-ups and stuff that still do that thing on there. I mean, I got we got some Willie Kings and stuff out there.
Willie Kings.
I could probably write a script. That would be a great, if anybody's out there and stuff wants a script, I could probably write a script because we could have everything from the detective, to the pimp, to the trans person and stuff on there, to the, super conservative.
Oh
I
my
had this
God.
one guy. He was a rabbi with the tassel things. A rabbi with the tassels.
Okay.
Yeah, and he rode a what the hell he had? He had some big Yamaha cruiser, like a Warrior. But he'd come in there in his full rabbi thing on there with his Warrior, and he was a chain smoker and cuts like a sailor, and he was hilarious. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, the cast of characters coming through there is just, it's unbelievable. I remember one time I had this guy, local guy, and he was a local drug dealer, right? He's doing his thing, not my
local drug dealer.
Local drug dealer, right? And
he for everything in cash.
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, everything in cash. Yeah, and the money would stink. And he's sitting on the couch. He's on his cell phone blubbering. And one of my cop buddies comes in under, he's in his casual clothes. So the guy sitting on the couch says blah 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 blah, all his business. And my cop buddy comes up there. He goes, "Who's your drug dealer, buddy?" Because the guy's just sitting there, just blabbing away on his cell phone, blah 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 blah. And my cop buddy comes in there, and he's sitting there listening. Cops have what I call mama ears; they hear everything. And I'm like,
dude, yeah,
he's all right, not my business. He goes, "No, not my business." And stuff on there, but at least I know where he's going and what he's doing.
Well, yeah. Thanks for the tip, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Thanks for the tip. But we've had a lot of stuff with law enforcement come in there, ask me questions about different stuff about what's going on in the community, and I'd say, "Hey, you guys didn't know this, you didn't know that." And you get a lot of.
Have you ever had a guy come into the shop and you looked at their bike and you're like, "No"?
That's a daily occurrence.
Is it really?
Oh, yeah, I said, don't unload it. Yeah, I mean,
really.
Unfortunately, here's the thing about it is this: since the reality show thing came in, everybody thinks building a bike is a 6-pack of beer and a little bit, and I'm going to build this cool hipster bike. My biggest thing is the hipster bike thing.
Okay.
So guys get some rat rod and they glue it together on there, and they get with their buddy 6-pack of beer, and they get halfway through it. They realize that they're over their head, and they come dragging this thing into my shop going, it's easy. How hard could it be?
Just clean the carbs, dude.
Into a cafe racer.
So they come in with like a box of parts, and they're like,
made in China.
And you're like, "No thanks."
I go, man. First of all, I have seen a gold wing into a cafe racer.
Okay.
Gold wing. They want to make it a cafe racer. I've seen guys take a Rebel 250 and want to make it into an 18-inch ape hanger with a sissy bar.
Let's talk about the clapped out shit that you've seen.
It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Our guys that they have an R3 and they want to put a 190 tire on it. Or you name it. Or I get the guys come in. Can you make it shoot out flames? That's so cool, man. I want flames coming out the back, man. Can't you make it put out flames? I'm like, it's not supposed to do that, But no, I want flames, Yeah, so that's the reality show. It's almost like building houses. They build a house in 30 days.
You don't have the burble tune or whatever they call it.
That's what they want. They want the flames coming out the back of it. I want flames. I want it to crackle and pop, and set up alarms. But yeah, I get a lot of that. I mean, and it's the thing of the reality show. They make it look so easy. I mean, you've seen the bike build stuff on TV, okay?
Right.
And I've been behind the scenes on those things. You glue it together and you fix it later, And the same thing with building a house in 30 days. And anybody knows if you've ever had your house built, you're not getting a bathroom done in 30 days, let alone building the whole house.
Well, dude, at least where we live, it takes a year just to get the permit to
exactly.
Say yes, you can build on that.
Yeah,
right?
But so I get they come rolling in with a box of stuff made in China, and they don't know anything about motorcycles, and they go, well, why doesn't this fit? Why can't you make it work?
Wow.
Yeah, so that's especially since COVID really blew it up because everybody had that spare time in their hands. So they're dragging out every bike they found in every backyard that's been sitting for 10 years.
Yeah.
And they think they're going to get it going for, $500. And I say it's more like 3,000. They're like, what?
Yeah. But I only paid $150 for this thing in some dude's backyard.
Or the bike in the box. Man, that's another one.
The bike in the box.
And they tell you everything's here. And I'm like, everything's never there. Okay.
And nothing's labeled.
I've never had a bike in the box that everything's there.
Right.
Everything's here. Yeah, a lot of bike in the boxes,
Really?
Oh yeah. They buy the bike for
you used to keep like spare bodywork and stuff, like random And then you had that whole eBay thing. So you always had some kind of plastics for whatever.
No, I got a 40-foot trailer full of stuff, and I probably throw thousands of dollars away every freaking year just to clear space.
Really?
Yeah, thousands of dollars.
Because the market for that is, dried
up.
Well,
what it is with labor costs, everything. Sometimes it's cheaper to part it than it is to build it. I've got to make a decision. Sometimes I might get a 20. Like I've had a couple of 20, 16, 17, 18 R1s. It's cheaper to part it and make more money than it is to build it. So just part it out. And eBay is a big market. Especially 90% of my stuff is sold outside California.
Really?
I mean, we're spoiled in LA because how many places can you get parts? A lot. You can go to Craigslist, OfferUp. If you're in Kansas, where are you going to get that part?
Freedom Cycles.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes, what? An HRLA ticket, Fat Bob, Deluxe Harley, so no. Yeah, right. So it's a good market. And once again, it's labor. I do not have to pay a $75,000 a year technician to take it apart. I can get that kid that wants to be the apprentice at the shop. He can take that apart.
Taking apart stuff's easy, right? It's putting it back together. That's the whole other problem. That's the next level of skill, right?
That's where I have to supervise him and pay him. Yeah. So that's a good market. So I've always been, even when I come to the track, guys that come to me, I always bring a ton of stuff. I'd rather take it and not need it than to need it and not take it. Right. So a lot of guys, guys come to me. Who has this? I got one. Who has this? I got one.
So since I've known you, you've had your bike, obviously the TZ stuff. I think you had an R6 for like a minute. You had R6s, you had the RC51. You've had you have many
RS250, a couple of RS250 Honda GP bikes, 3 of those, right. 2 TZs, the Triumph.
You did the Triumph thing for like a minute.
What's that now?
I remember you were super into that Triumph thing for a minute.
Kept blowing it up. It was fast. It just kept breaking. That bike is still in.
It's British, dude. What do you expect?
Yeah, right? It was good when it ran. Yeah,
when it ran, it's awesome.
Yeah, it's just when you miss that gear and you just float that valve.
Yeah. Oh, is that what you had?
Oh yeah, the valve? Yeah. It was, we were making good power in that thing, about 136 at the back wheel.
Yeah,
but at 13.5, but if you miss the gear, with the single spring valve train and stuff on there, we've been the valve. We're dropping valves.
Right.
Yeah, but it's fast. 136 horsepower, a lot of torque.
Is there a bike that that has like a known thing? Like, oh yep, this bike has it's the
valve.
It's gonna drop a valve for sure.
Think about this: you see a trend over the years. So if a guy calls me up and he says, my battery's burning down, okay, I guarantee you that your regulator plug is burnt, or hey, I'm jumping out of your so you see the trends over the years. That's just what's comes with time and experience. So some guys can call me on the phone and I can say it's probably going to be this, and it's no different than a doctor. You see a kid come on there, he says, your eye is green, your tooth hurts, this and that, well, you got this disease.
But like the sport bikes that are out right now, you pretty much know these are the known issues with these ones. Okay.
Yeah. It's because people ask me, they don't know they want to buy a bike. And I'll say, you don't want to buy this bike because of this, for what you want to use it for.
Okay.
Or you may not buy this bike for regular transportation because if it breaks, it's going to take you much longer to get the parts. So are you prepared to be without that bike for probably 30 days? Well, guess what? You may not want to get that. You may want to get a Honda, right. Or you want this bike because it looks cool. Are you prepared to put tires on it every 3,000 to 4,000 miles
every day at the track?
Because a lot of guys they have an illusion of what they want to look, but they're not being practical. So sometimes you have to bring back to reality, saying, I know that's a cool looking bike, but for what you're using it for, it may not be the most practical bike.
Is there any bikes in your that you've let go that you wish you still had for the track?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd probably say my one regret,
one that got away.
I in high school, I was a 2-stroke guy. I loved the RDs. Everybody had RDs, and we'd be up in the canyons, blowing away all the 550, 600 on the RD 350s and RD 400s, right? Because in the canyons, you just ripped them with 2-strokes. And I had a Daytona Special, and it took me probably 7 years and 3 motorcycles to get this thing cherry. you know, and I had
7 years and 3 motorcycles to get that
because
one.
you couldn't get parts for the bikes anymore.
Oh,
and this is so I built this bike between 98 to like 2001, 2002. You know, so the bikes had long since been collectible. You couldn't get parts for them. And the Daytona Special in the United States was a 1-year motorcycle.
Right.
Only 1 year. So this bike was mint. And the bike was just mint. I mean, getting parts for it. And I hardly ever rode it. And Perry mailed a check. They stopped at 250 class in 2003. And I had a Honda. Reliable, but it was slow compared to the Yamahas. And he says, I'm getting this, I'll sell you my TZ. And I think I bought that bike back then for, I think about $13,000-$14,000. They were 25 grand back in 2002 for those bikes. And you know, and this was a Rich Oliver teammate bike, if you know who Rich Oliver is.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
I remember you showed me the cylinder head on that thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just ridiculously.
That was sick.
Yeah, sickly for it. I mean, only he could ride the goddamn thing.
Yeah.
So I got to come up with $15,000. I ain't got the money, so I'm selling everything, you know. And I'm looking at my guy said, "Man, I'll give you $5 grand for that Daytona." And I'm like saying, I could probably get more than that. And I let that bike go, and I still got the TZ. I'm glad I had it, but I always still, you know, before that's my bucket list bike is put together another perfect, you know, 1979 Yamaha Daytona Special.
Wow.
Pearl white with the red stripe down the back. Yeah.
Pearl white with the red stripe down the back.
Yeah, that's factory Yamaha colors. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, that was definitely a bike that if I can come across one of those and have it in my man cave, you know, the old 2-stroke.
Right on. So I saw that you last weekend you were riding the R1 and you gave me your build sheet and you know you're selling the thing. Like what's in the cards? What are you working on next? What's the gear? What's grinding your gears next?
I got the bike, and you know, it's a super bike, you know, and like I said, I'm no spring chicken, and definitely, you know, and you know the difference between riding like a 600 super bike, you know.
Yeah, dude, way gnarlier. It's way awesomer.
Oh, there's no rest. I mean,
no, it's awesome.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome. Yeah. So this thing is just like, yeah, it's like riding a bull on steroids, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I've had the bike, and BPR did the motor for me. And really the last year and a half, I've ridden it like 1 or 2 times. And it's a beautiful bike to have sitting around, not using it, you know. And I got my Gixxer, you know, ex-Yosh bike, I got my TZ sitting there, and I got stuff to come to the shop. And I'm like, man, do I want to just put this for a piece of furniture, or put it on the market and let somebody out there, you know, some young kid or some guy who really wants to go still, you know, be able to go on it, because it's still a competitive bike, you know.
Right.
It's for club level. I mean, it's, you know, super bike. Here's all my buddy list. I got Josh Aaron forks. I got stuff from
Kyle Wyman's stuff, didn't you? Didn't you have Kyle Wyman?
Yeah, I got Kyle Wyman's with the forks at Kyle Wyman's and Heron's clamps, Wyman's forks. It was Johnny Rock Page's original chassis, stuff from Ozzie Davis. So it's a who's who of Motor America bikes putting that thing together over the years. And Bryce that just did a brand new motor for me. And I mean, and I got, like I said, I'm a parts collector. I mean, I'm a hoarder when it comes to parts, moms and stuff. Right. So I said, you know, I get a fair price for it. I put it in the market, you know, but half the time I got it sitting there and let me drag it. I get it going. Maybe not. Maybe so. Maybe not.
So you don't have anything up your sleeve for the next Alex White track bike?
I'm curious to see what the R9 is going to do. I think that's going to be a cool, fun bike.
Yeah.
Thinking about that, but yeah, I don't know right now stuff on there if I want to do, because I'm a fiddler. I mean, I don't like leaving them alone. You know, I'm like a fiddler, so
you can't.
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, my nature. I get bored if I can't fiddle with it.
Maybe the R9. Maybe anything else. You're not going to be a BMW guy, are you?
You know, I don't want to work
Alpha bikes or whatever.
$50,000
new bike or whatever it is.
Yeah, no, and once again, I dragged the TZ out, but you know, getting parts for it is getting very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Once they stop the 2-stroke stuff, some of the stuff I got, you can't get anymore. So it's like having an exotic race car. Yeah, you want to drive it at the same time, you can't afford to tear it up.
I saw there was that dude last weekend that had that the 2025 V4.
Yeah. Oh.
That thing was crazy. I was shocked. I was shocked how fast.
Here's the thing when we get the Italians. You know, when you have a problem with an Italian bike, go home.
Really?
Go home. Go home. Okay. Like for instance, we've been at the track, an R1 yanking the motor out. If you get it early in the day, you can have the bike back on the track by the end of the day, changing the motor.
Right? Like a stalker, not
A
like the
Madi,
super
not
bike's
like a
like
full
15
blown attack
minutes,
bike,
right?
a super stock bike.
Yeah.
Okay, about 4 hours you can have it back together on a super stock bike, not a super bike, right?
Right.
If you blow up a V4, it's going to be a whole team of people. It's going to take you all day. You're lucky you make it the next day. The complications.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get them coming into my shop to change an exhaust system, 6 hours. To change the exhaust system.
And it's not me doing the work, right?
No, it would take, you'd be there for a day and a half with scratching your eyes. Yeah. So they're beautiful, but the complexity of it,
Yeah.
and the electronics, almost everybody's going to have electronics. They're beautiful motorcycles, but it's complicated.
Right
So
on.
you better have a helper and somebody who knows the bikes.
Yeah, we don't really see a whole lot of those bikes at the track. For Italian bikes, we see a lot more Aprilias actually.
Yeah.
We don't see a lot of Ducatis anymore.
Or you know what? If I was going to get a V2.
Right.
V2.
Dude, that Errol kid, from the Beverly Hills Ducati, dude, that kid was ripping.
Yeah.
But he's not racing anymore,
Yeah, but the V2 is a nice bike, and it's much more simplistic. The V4, I mean, I ride them; they're just brutal. That R, have you ever ridden one? The motors.
I haven't ridden the new one, the 25. I haven't.
Any V4.
I rode Camming's bikes,
Yeah, but
Camming
any of the V4Rs are just brutal on the power. I mean, once again, that bike is a workout. The electronics are great, but you need a manual this thick translated into English to figure out how all the shit works. So it's
you don't get YouTube certified on that?
Well, and then you got to get it translated, but still, trust me, I love me some YouTube. Yeah, there's always some guy in the middle of some place that's going to tell you how to fix it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, wow. But Hugo had a V4R. We got out to Indy Motorsport Park and had some electronic issues, and we couldn't get, one of the sensors was messed up, and we couldn't get it back to work right. So I
remember when, this is several years ago now, but like when the V4 first came out. And I was at a track day at Chuckwalla, and Camming had brought his brand new Ducati out. And literally, I think he made it one session, and then he goes to fire up the thing for the next session. The dash lights up like a Christmas tree, and his day was over.
Yeah.
Like, what, dude? It's a brand new bike. What do you mean?
Yeah. Our like I said, I think we went to a Laguna. It hit a fault code, and you had to go through a certain sequence to resequence the bike.
Yeah.
And the
up, down, down, left, right, BA, select, start.
That one? 30 miles an hour in first gear, and then 30 miles in second gear, and the traction control won't work, and session over. Okay, well, I get the next one. So they're beautiful when they work, but they're complicated. They're complicated. The Aprigas are a great motorcycle, but I've had seen some of those valve train issues.
Yeah.
Valve train issues. It's not uncommon.
Yeah, I've seen some of the valve train stuff with the customers, because they're like, "Hey, my bike blew up again." Yeah, I'm like, "What do you mean again?"
Yeah,
and that goes into the thing you were talking about earlier about buying a bike and then something breaks and you're waiting on parts.
Mm-hmm. It was like, God bless you if you have a Buell.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yeah, yeah. Man. No, which version? Right? Which rendition? The Buell or the EBR or whatever?
EBR.
Right.
Yeah. So you spend a lot of money, beautiful bike when it works, but when it breaks and they tell you that they don't have the part, what are you going to do?
Yeah. Or going back to my buddy Cam, right? Mm-hmm. How about the Foggy Petronas bike?
Oh well, I mean that's a bike that you don't.
You're not going to do a regular track day on that. Right?
I hear you had a little fire ways back, and that must have been a tragedy because you better know some engineers to rewire your bike.
Yeah.
I wasn't there for the fire, but I heard about the fire.
Or the Desmo Sudici kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a bike that like what are you gonna where are you gonna get parts for that?
Where are you gonna get parts for it exactly?
Right.
Yeah. Where are you gonna get parts for it? Yeah.
See, that's the excuse I use to not build a vintage bike, dude. Right?
No, there's some cool vintage stuff out there. If you've been to the ARMA events at Laguna Seca, I mean, there are some very, very cool bikes that you can get a lot of parts. Like even to Curtis Adams, and Kerry Andrews. They got some beautiful. Bradley has that 750, like 78.
Yeah, that's too vintage for me. I was like,
he
more like
flies on that bike.
I know he does.
Okay, and Kerry Andrews, I think his is a 83 GS, like a Cooley replica.
Right.
Those guys at Laguna were flying.
Yeah, like the one Mark Miller was riding.
Yeah, but
What was
a
that?
lot of those bikes are cool as hell.
Yeah.
You just gotta get used to a little wobble. You just hold on to the thing.
Yeah, I'm not really into that. I was more like, 90s vintage. You know
Well,
what I mean?
RC30, RC45.
Yeah.
Also bike. A lot of the
RC45.
Yamaha
Where are you
FZR
gonna get
stuff.
parts for an RC45, dude?
Oh yeah, well, but yeah,
It's
but
been a
that's
minute since I've even seen one of those.
but FZR 750.
Right.
And FZR 750 with 1,000 motor, phenomenal bike. FZR 400, 600 motor, phenomenal bike.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
phenomenal.
can remember Mike Gephardt at Willow with his what is it? The YZF 750 with the FZR 1000 engine in
Motor,
it.
awesome bike. Yeah,
Yeah,
awesome.
well, it was awesome until it would scatter parts at me down the straightaway.
When I first met Richard, he was doing the Formula USA,
Yeah.
and that's what he was running. He was running the 750 with the 1,000 motor.
Right. That was a Cycle World bike, wasn't it?
I think he was cheating a little bit. I won't say anything.
He watches this, right?
Yeah. I think there's a couple of piston combinations that were,
I mean, like you said, he was he liked Superbike because you could tinker,
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the Formula USA was great because it was any combination. You can put all kind of wood. Once again, 750 Gixxers with, 1,000 motors in them. 1,100 motors in them, combination.
Or in the case of some of our friends back in the day, they would run a 600 with a 750 in it.
Yeah, I remember. I don't know what year. I think it was Jay Springsteen had a built 750 that was like 890 in the Daytona 200 that was running 750s.
Yeah,
and everybody else is going ying ying. Oh,
oh man.
I think he got caught with that one.
Yeah, Dave MD with Captain Kurt Jordan Engineering Yamaha FZ. Somebody, Alan Rodriguez says that.
Yeah.
Remember Jordan Engineering?
Oh yeah, that's good. Oh yeah, that's one. Yeah. That's going way back. But
Jordan
that was an
bro,
iconic bike.
Do you remember? Like, I remember Jordan Engineering because of that Kawasaki thing that Frank Aragaki used to come out on. That bike lived at Jordan Engineering. That thing was sick.
Yeah. That was awesome. But I remember a lot of guys were taking they were taking the 750 Yamaha and the 1,000 motor, and that was just an unbelievable combination.
The Yamaha Monster.
Yeah, unbelievable combination. Yeah, and and I think Chuck had a lot of 750s with 1,100 motors. Because he was a big Formula USA guy back in the day, champion.
Right. Yeah, the Formula USA back then was like, I watched a video on YouTube a while back of an old Formula USA race, and Dale Keefer was actually in one of those.
Yeah,
but it was like a dude on like a Yamaha Monster and a dude on a Gixxer Monster, like you were talking about.
Yeah,
but then racing against Rich Oliver and Robbie Peterson on 2-stroke 500 Yamahas.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I watched Rich Oliver
like MotoGP bikes racing against Formula Extreme bikes.
I would watch Rich Oliver. He would close in turn 9 and turn 20 Willow Springs against these 1,000, and they were doing 21s. A 250 against a leader bike and going back and forth. He closed in one, they pull it. He pass them in two, they pass them back. And they would do this stuff for 25, 30 laps.
Yep.
The 1,000 would run out of tires and he'd run out of gas.
Right.
Crazy. Epic. But I mean, watching those kind of battles, and when do you get to see something like that? A 250 GP bike, versus a super bike, and they're just battling back and forth, tooth and nail. I mean, it was unbelievable. Yeah, unbelievable.
Yeah, it's hard to get battles like that anymore, because everything is so structured. All the classes, like being part of club racing, it's always like trying to simplify the class structure so people can understand them, because normal people aren't like motorbike retards like us. They're like, oh yeah, dude, I just want to go. They have to look at the rules and read and see where they belong. Where we just showed up and figured it out and had the dragon ladies yelling at us for not reading the rules.
I mean, the one thing that I kind of do reminisce is when you used to go to Laguna Seca back in the day, and you pulled in, coming up the hill. Yeah. And you're sitting there watching the bikes go between, turn 2 and go to the infield. You knew when there was a super bike, or Formula One, or 250. Our battle of the twins, because every class was so distinctly different. Like I would pull up sometime. I'm like, is that super stock or super bike, or because the homologation, it does make it even for everybody. But as far as for spectators stuff on there, when you would see Battle of the Twins and you would have all these mixtures of bikes and the sound was just so different.
Right.
Formula One, it was Formula One. I mean, these things, and you'd have 2 strokes and 4 strokes mixed. Okay. Yeah. But you could tell because these things were freaking loud and ripping, you know, so there was a difference, you didn't have the depth of competition, but, something going into the pits and seeing this, this cornucopia of all these different motorcycles and,
cornucopia. You used cornucopia.
I gotta use a big word every now and then. but remember Britain?
Yeah.
Yeah. Seeing something like that.
Yeah.
Or some of these exotic Suzuki hodgepodge Formula One / superbike, combinations or,
like the Japanese Yoshimura version.
Yeah. I remember what was the Tornado bike that Yoshimura made? That kind of one-off. It was called a Tornado.
Yeah.
It was just a one-off super.
It's kind of like a Busa kind of thing, but like not.
No, it was a GSXR motor with a special chassis and this crazy big bore, kill your wobble machine. Scott Gray used to ride this thing stuff on there, and he was a big boy, and he used to rip on this freaking thing, and then Randy Mola would come out, and Kenny Roberts.
Being in the industry as long as you've been, like, what do you think about the state of racing right now, both on the club level and the national level?
Okay, well, I definitely think that the feeder thing is the problem. Like I say, getting the youth in and the involvement is the biggest problem. In Europe, they manage to still do it. They have that depth going down to age, and then also the sponsorship thing. I mean, you can make more doing the amateur tennis competition than you can doing I was making more in the 80s and 90s than they're making more today, in the midfield,
Wow.
So, and I don't know what the answer is as far as to get the sponsorship interest in it. I don't think the TV was much better. TV was actually worse. I used to watch grainy stuff on ESPN, that you could better picture on an iPhone.
Right.
But I think it comes down to the depth of the youth. You got to get the youth more involved with it,
right.
and the sponsorships. I don't understand why NASCAR, a guy who you never heard of, he has 18 sponsorships, giving him 100 G's, and you win a super sport championship, and you can't get a ride.
Right. You end up being a sub rider the next year.
Yeah, in debt. Yeah, in debt. So, so that's where, and I know, Wayne, Rainey's trying to do, the Moto America stuff. It's, what's it, a decade now, over a decade?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But
Moto America's done Moto America's done a good job of trying to dig out of the hole that was created by DFG,
Yeah.
Those guys really up the sport big time, right?
Yeah.
But the support, I think, overall is bigger than that. You look at the club race level, and all the clubs cross country have had like a shift, right? And some clubs have gone away.
Yeah.
And then other clubs have popped up and they've gone away.
Yeah.
And then, but here in California, there are 3 club race orgs just within 3-4 hours of each other, right?
Yeah.
So,
I think the opportunity to ride is greater than ever. I think realistically, if you want to ride every weekend, you could go someplace within 6-hour drive or ride every weekend. Phenomenal weather, that you can do it on there. But I think that the days of where a guy in mid-pack could make a living, and those, to me, those were the glory days. I knew guys.
Like Shane Clark or whatever.
Well, right? Even still, for instance, people know who Doug Poland is, right?
Yeah.
Doug Poland got his start, in the late 80s, him and his brother. They had a GSXR 750 and a GSR 1100, and they went around the country and made a living for the two of them, hitting club race after club race with a few AMAs because they get that contingency money.
Right.
And the guy would go out there and stuff on there, and he was able to win, 4 races in a weekend and walk away with a good little paycheck and not tearing up motorcycles.
Right.
And that's like a story. I
couldn't. Bounty hunter days are over, it seems like, because the money is just, it went from $2,000 to win or $3,000 to win to $500.
I think back then they were paying $3,000 or $4,000 in the late 90s, and then you get the tire money too.
Right.
The tire money too. And then if you let, a chain guy, a brake pad guy, a fuel guy, but those guys in a van. And that propelled him into, a
champion.
Yoshimura first and then a world champion. for being able to do something like that. And I knew a lot of guys, they weren't making money, but they were making a living with a small job, going around the country doing club racing.
Yeah.
Getting that contingency money, and that tire money.
So what you're saying is the manufacturers need to
step up.
Yeah.
Yeah, they need to step up,
Well, I think the first, it's like, is it the chicken egg thing? Is it like people need to start buying motorcycles?
Mm-hmm. I just think that they look at it that they don't get the revenue as far as the advertising that they used to get back in the day. Now with the concept of the internet, with being banners and that kind of stuff on there, I think they can spread their dollars out a lot easier because it's a digital age.
Right.
It's a digital
well, I mean,
age.
I think the Supercross gets plenty of money.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But once again, it's a different kind of show. It's like Monster Jam or Monster Truck. It's a different show.
Yeah.
And I will guarantee you, it costs less to put on a superbike race. Costs less to put on a Supercross race than a superbike race.
Right.
Right. Insurance and everything.
And the thing is, like with our stuff, the road version of the stuff, a couple of bad weather weekends could put a big dent in your revenue stream, right?
Yeah, motocross rating shop, but also with the homologation rules, a top Supercross bike, you're probably in it for $25K with all the good shit.
Yeah, and how much is it? How much is a top level R1?
Club level or AMA level?
Yes.
You can build a good club level bike for 50 and an AMA bike for 150.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And how long does it take to destroy it?
2.5 miles.
Yeah, I haven't seen too many total motocross bikes,
No.
Total bodies, but
I mean, how many bikes? How many bikes have you written off?
Oh Jesus! I did 3 bikes in 6 months one time, and that's why I said I'd never get another goddamn Suzuki. I guess
really.
Yeah, luckily I have Marina Suzuki. It's a funny thing. When we had box stock, the bikes weren't heavy modified.
Right.
So I wad my bike up at Willow Springs and one in turn 1 and one in turn 9. Right.
Well, you have to get them on both ends.
Oh yeah, got it at both ends. Right. Both bikes I wadded the hell out of them. Right. Old jixies. I worked at a dealership. We got turns and put that something back together and called the insurance company. I got cut off on La Brea.
Don't say that. Oh wait, that was years ago. Who cares?
It was a long time ago. Okay, a long time ago. Yeah, but so
yeah, right now if a bike sucks.
Yeah.
I've done 2, man. Yeah, like I've written off 2 R1s.
Yeah.
I think my first one was 18, and then the last one was the one you were talking about, Riverside.
Oh, yeah.
I legit like wrote off 2 bikes. Like,
yeah, but I wrote off 3 in 1 year. Three, and then I said, screw these Suzuki's. I went back to a 600 Yamaha. They didn't like me, and I wasn't
didn't like you.
They didn't like me. Suzuki's didn't like me. Yeah. And that was one where Chuck said, I don't know what he thought about that pass because I went by him in turn 1 with the back wheel off the ground.
Man,
didn't quite make that one.
That's hilarious, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. But I in all the years I know I wasn't a super big crasher, but I think really on the racetrack, in all those years I probably had 15 crashes. I've seen a couple of years, and most of them weren't really bad ones. I only really had probably 4 bad ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're a older gentleman now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do to stay fit?
I stay busy. You know what? Here's the thing about this is no kids, hot girlfriend, good dog. Okay. And I just stay active. I ride my bicycle, ride my motocross bike.
I was gonna say, are you like outlining a new country song, bro?
Me and Shabuzi.
Man.
Yeah, everybody at the bar.
Oh my goodness.
No, actually, I'm really blessed with good genes. So to be quite honest, I don't think I do anything extraordinary but stay busy. I eat well. I think I really got good genes. I mean, I hit the gene pool lottery. Folks in my family live 90, 100 years old. We're all thin, tall. We have our issues on there, but overall, good. I mean, I told you about I have my little medical little thing going on.
Yeah, dude. Like you were, like, okay, like you said it. Like, can we go there? We're gonna go there right now.
Yeah, we can go there.
Okay. So like we talked about this the other day, and you know, even at the track, you were telling me before I threw the camera on you, you were telling me about your health stuff, but you didn't tell me it was like that.
Yeah.
Like, okay, everybody watching this still, like this guy came to the track, rode all day at the track, and then the next day, the very next day, had a heart procedure done. Had like he had like a bypass surgery happen the next day.
Actually, I had an angiogram and did an angioplasty. I had 90% blockage in an artery because I had been not feeling myself.
And you came to the track just to make sure, just in case it didn't work out the next day. At least you got one last track day. What the fuck? Dude.
No, but I mean, like I said, I've been having some issues, and I'm in good shape. But I know my body, and you really, really, really have to push the medical system. Our medical system is broken. All right.
Yeah.
So I know myself, I know my health, but I've been getting a little short of breath, you know, doing stuff I can normally do easily. Like I'd go out there and ride, but, you know, I get 4 or 5 laps in and I'm a little winded. Yeah. You know, before I go out there and I do 3 races or whatever, you know, ride my bicycle miles. And I'm going to my doctor and they do your EKG. You're fine. I don't feel fine. Echocardiogram. You're fine. I don't feel fine. Blood test. You're fine. Nope. Treadmill. You're in great shape for your age, okay? You know, okay, but I don't feel fine. So I keep pushing them. And finally, I got to dump my PPO doctor that's bleeding through all this cash. And I go to a different medical and I tell them what's going on. They do all the tests. They do the EKG, fine. Echo, fine. Blood test, fine. Pulmonary, fine. So then finally said they're going to do an angiogram. So he said, okay, well, I'm going to go to track. I don't want to miss that track day. I called you up and said, I'm going to get out there. Yeah. I ride, you know, really no problem during the day. Middle of the day, feeling a little tired, sat out one session. I feel fine, get back on the bike, you know, rode. My buddy Tyler's out there. We're riding together. Yeah. I go in for my procedure, figure, okay. They bring me in, and basically what they do is they put dye into your main artery, and it goes through your system. And they put a camera, and they can see your blood flow. Yeah. So, and you're awake while you're doing it. Kind of uncomfortable.
Oh, that sounds like a great time.
Yeah, exactly. Great time with the wiring. So they go, yeah, we got a blockage. I'm sitting there looking at it. They go, see here, this little weenie? And you see going through it. See where it turns into a wire? They go, that's a blockage. They go 90%. I'm like, really? They go, what were you doing yesterday? 150 miles an hour on the track. How'd you feel? Not too bad, you know? Wow. And they put a balloon in there, open it up, put a stent in there. And the next day I felt great. Mm-hmm. That was 2 days ago.
Well, you know, that's why they call it practicing medicine. I just don't want them to practice on me, right?
Absolutely. Well, that's what they do in the United States. Yeah. So, and they said, yeah, just a slight blood thinner. They did say, yeah, you probably don't want to get spit off your bike and start bleeding inside for the next 6 months. But, you know.
So you're when's your next track day then?
A couple of weeks ago. I gotta meet those airbags soon. I'm protected. Right?
Oh my god. Wow.
Yeah. So that was that. So wow. But I got good genes. But other than that, you know, I'm lucky. But realistically, if I did not push for my own advocacy, I was a heart attack waiting to happen. Oh, you know, and I've seen it happen, you know, and I've seen guys go out there, they're working perfectly fine and just drop. You have to listen to your body, but you have to be your own advocate because our system is broken. And I pay ridiculous money for really good Beverly Hills doctors, and they still missed it.
Yeah. I mean, were they like trying to push a drug on you or something?
No, it's just like you go to test, and if you don't push, they go, you seem fine. You know, unless you walk in, you know, they're looking at me, they go, hey, you're energetic, you know, you're slim, you're fit, you know. And the tests come back fine, but I still know how I feel. And I'm not going to go from 6 months being able to ride miles to do the stuff to being hard of breath, you know? So I just know that, you know, you got to listen to your body, you know?
Listen to your body, people.
Yeah, listen to your body. So, you know, I'm old, but I'm not geriatric.
You don't get switched off because you're not taking care of it.
Yeah, right? but I, you know, you get to 50 and you start hearing these stories like we were talking about Jeff Crago. He's doing, you know, working in his garden, and his wife finds him laid out dead, heart attack.
That's crazy, man.
You know, I had another friend of mine drag racing Hayabusas doing 7 seconds, 190 miles an hour, goes into his pits, falls over a heart attack. And he'd been to the doctor a week before and they said he was fine. And he had a blockage. You know?
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. So you got to listen to it because our system, man, it's a hot mess.
So with the are you still you know, do you still have club racing plans in the cards?
You know what? I mean, we're going to see. I mean, right now, business has been taking most of my time. Last year and a half, like a lot of places, you know, it's been tough. A lot of changes going on, so that's consumed most of my time lately. That and my little medical thing, so I just wasn't feeling as energetic to do it. Which so I feel a lot better now. And also I got a new hot girlfriend too. Take a lot of my time.
Of course you do.
Yeah.
Don't you always?
Yeah. So, so we'll see. But I do feel a lot of relief knowing that I don't have the thing hanging over my head like, you're in the back of your head, you're thinking, man, shit, you're gonna have a heart attack.
Wow. I'm like, bro, you were at my track day on Sunday, and on Monday you had heart surgery.
Yeah. I would say if I fall out, shove 2 aspirin down my freaking throat and give me some water.
Man, that's tough, man. That's tough.
Yeah, but we're racers. We think a little differently. We're a little, we're not quite right. So,
Yeah. Oh, 100% agree with you there, bro. Like,
yeah.
We're talking to the guy with like 2 bad shoulders. The hands are destroyed. Yeah. Walk with a slight limp. But yay, racing. Wouldn't change it for a second.
Not at all. This is what we do. We're wired a little different than regular people.
Yeah, than the normies.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's
well, Alex, dude, we are 2 hours and 15 into this crap.
Yeah, life is good. Hey,
dude, I was like, my dog has trying to make sure it doesn't go 3 or 4 hours. Yeah, bro.
Well, we can talk all night long. I'm surprised my dog hasn't bugged me. He hasn't had dinner yet. He's gonna be pissed off at me. Man. I don't have screaming kids. I got a big German Shepherd and stuff.
Yeah, I got the pit bull outside, and he's.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like we gave him a bunch of treats before I walked in here.
Yeah. I'm amazed at Rossi.
Oh,
he's down. He's down.
Have the dog on the show.
Come here. Here he comes. I get my well-trained pooch. This is my kid. Come here. Come here, buddy.
Oh my God.
Come on up here. Here he comes.
Yeah, they're like, I told you, man, you're crazy.
Come here.
Okay, here we go.
Say what's up, buddy. There's Rossi. There's a big boy.
Man, that's a big ass dog.
Yeah.
You guys have no idea. That dog is humongous.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go feed him. I hope everybody wasn't too boring for everybody. A little bit of insight, entertainment. What's going on?
Yeah. Thanks for chatting me up, Alex. That was rad, dude.
Absolutely.
Taking your busy time. We had a little tech support stuff earlier, and we were what, 2 minutes late, 3 minutes late?
Yeah.
We're LA time, bro.
I ran a couple. Luckily, I got a short commute. I ran a couple of red lights. It's okay. That's what airbags are for,
dude,
right?
If you knew what I did to make it here on time, I was doing way more than that. Yeah. Good times.
It's funny. I go out to Glamis all the time, ride my dirt bike, and most of my friends now have translated, into side by sides. I still ride my motorcycle. I still got my YZ 450, and they always go with age goes to cage. But I said I will not go into the light willingly. You're gonna have to drag me.
Oh man, you're gonna like be the geriatric guy with the paddle tire on your dirt bike.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right on, man.
All right, man.
Well, yeah, seriously, good chatting with you, and I guess I'll see you at the track at some point, Mr. Heart Condition over here.
There you go.
You truthfully look your normal energetic self. You probably feel way better, right?
Yeah, I slept good. Yeah. And my girlfriend said I didn't even snore the other night. So
you didn't even snore, so bonus.
Snore, yeah.
Yeah, look at that. Wow. Well, thanks everybody for watching this. I hope Alex entertained you as much as he entertained me.
You're a cheap date.
Oh, am I? All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna wrap this show up. Alex, hang on just a second. All right.
You got it.
All right, so I'm ending this